Home to Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and NASCAR. This is a presentation of Fox Sports.
Atlanta, Georgia, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. U.S. Army helicopter arriving on the scene. More than 100,000 fans will turn out to see America's greatest racers. And who's inside this chopper, hoping to arrive and beat the crowd?
The Army gave us a ride to the track. Is this cool or what?
Man, this right here is cool. You talk about a fast drive. And DW, remember one thing. This racetrack right here is one of the fastest on the NASCAR circuit.
We got fast cars. We got fast track. We got fast action. Baby, it's all on Fox, and it's NASCAR, and it rocks.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the Golden Corral 500. Bobby Labonte scores his 20th career victory. Tony Stewart scores his first super speedway win in over a year.
Gordon got loose. It's Harvick. Harvick by inches.
NASCAR's version of Gone with the Wind. 200 miles an hour. Cars will fly around this track. And in addition to wall-to-wall drama and bumper-to-bumper action, the drivers will be steering straight into a storm of controversy after last week's race. Welcome to the Home Depot pre-race show, brought to you by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. Promises to be a great show. We're going to dive into all the intrigue, both on and off the track, from the Hollywood Hotel. It's where America gathers every weekend to go racing. Glad to have you along as we're ready for some fast and furious action today, along with Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond. I'm Chris Myers. Glad you guys could report for duty on time. Way to make a grand entrance, right?
How do you get out of the trunk?
You guys,
that's the question. How did you get out of the
trunk? Penn and Teller helped me out. But by the way, I like your G.I. Joe outfit. Very appropriate.
Thanks a lot to the Night Stalker Squadron out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
All right, talking about getting out of the car. Darrell, an old dog never forgets old tricks. You didn't just get out of the car like Hammond, where you opened the door.
No, that's the way I get out all my cars. You know, you climb through the window. I don't even know why they have doors. I never open the door.
Give us well, first you say, oh, but I got to remember what
I just remembered. Normally the door doesn't open. Come on out there, big guy.
You got it. That's a groin pull can be a hazardous thing. You got to.
Well, I was going to do the icky shuffle right there, but I was in a hurry.
All right, Ryan Newman will be in a hurry. He's on the pole. Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to get everything back in gear, and Tony Stewart wants to win for his Home Depot sponsor. But this race, a part of a bigger issue this week. Apparently, what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Las Vegas. It can carry over into next week.
Jimmy Johnson brings the low Chevrolet to the checkered flag. How about hometown teenager Kyle Busch finishing second?
There's a saying in NASCAR, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
NASCAR came down hard and suspended crew chiefs for Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick.
All three suspended at least 2 races, and it's cost Johnson the points lead.
All penalties are an effort to keep the playing field level by going just far enough to get everybody's attention so that they don't do it again. But also a message to the team members, and particularly the crew chiefs, who in NASCAR's environment are responsible for the actions of the team in the car.
And our crew chief did something wrong, and I agree that he should be suspended because we definitely did something that we know was wrong. But 4 weeks, I thought, that's why I'm appealing it, because 4 weeks is more than I feel is fair, especially after we were put to the rear of the field, fined $25,000 and losing points.
You know, our car was low. It wasn't anything that was really intentional or blatant. It was a mechanical problem, and you know, we're going to get together next Tuesday with our appeal, and we're going to discuss it, and hopefully we can get a little bit better understanding for everybody.
Whether it's intentional or not intentional on behalf of a team or a crew member, for something to happen, it's a matter of NASCAR's responsibility to be sure that everybody in the garage feels confident that they're playing up against the same standards, and that's our goal.
Time for a little gas and go segment. I ask the questions, you give the answers. This is not a congressional hearing, but pretend you're under oath, okay?
We could be there, you know.
We might end up there.
Can I be excused?
No, you have to stay. People want to know. All right,
you want to take the fifth already?
Take the fifth already.
He'll take the fourth. He doesn't know what that means. All right, we're going to start. We have a timer on this. We'll start with DW. Were the Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson punishments too harsh?
Every sport has rule infractions. You know, whatever they do, they call them rule infractions. I just don't like painting my guys as cheaters. I don't want to see my guy's picture on the paper, in the paper on Monday morning with a big cheater sign written on it. That is not fair.
All right, I'll say that.
Not fair to my guys.
I'll take that as a no. All right, no. Jeff, is cheating just a part of NASCAR? You know, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying that old thing.
The thing is, right now, I still don't like the word cheating. I'm going to say it's a situation of sometimes self-defense. It's what the sport was built on as far as trying to get the advantage over your competitors. So don't use the word cheating.
Oh, you guys sound like the congressional hearing is questioning you. All right, let's bring in another crew chief to try and paint cheating differently. Larry McReynolds from the broadcast.
Well, now here is a real expert.
Oh, yeah. That's not fair. Come on.
Bring him on in.
All right, Larry, thanks for being with us. Is every team guilty of rule infractions at some point or another?
There is no question. Over the course of a season, whether it's for qualifying or for the race, I think someone always tries to work within the rules. And I'm like DW and Jeff. I don't call it cheating. I call it trying to get that advantage over your competitors.
All right, so Larry, let me just, as much as we see, how much do we not see? So are people still getting away with a lot?
I would say for everything you see, there's probably one or two things that you don't see, but Jeff will agree with this. I would say since him and I have been crew chiefs over the last 20 or 25 years, it has been reduced significantly, because I'd say 20 years ago, for everything they caught, there was probably 25 things they did not catch.
Time's up, Larry. Good job. Thanks for joining us.
That was a lot of help.
That was, all right, come on, it's insight.
Yeah.
All right, Darryl.
He didn't help anything.
Should wins be taken away from drivers if you're caught after you have a victory?
Personally, I would rather get up Monday morning and say I was disqualified for a rule infraction than I had to be called a cheater. I think it sends a bad message all the way through the sport that people are winning races and cheating to do it. I don't like that. We can't have that.
Time's up.
The integrity of the sport, there it is.
All right, Jeff, is NASCAR looking for certain types of things, you know, point of emphasis the NFL has, or are they looking more at certain drivers?
I think it's certain things. I don't think they're singling out any kind of drivers, because they are pretty good about going back through the field and catching things. If you look inside the truck, I mean, there's numbers from 1 all the way back to 43 as far as the points is concerned. Somebody's been caught with something, so they're not picking on anybody.
Drivers don't work on the cars.
All right,
Drivers don't work on the cars.
All right, Darryl, final question. Will these actions by NASCAR this week make a difference here in the long run?
Listen, we've been going through this for 30 years. And the next 30 years, we'll be going through the same thing. There's always going to be gray areas and interpretation. As long as you're interpreting the rules one way and NASCAR's looking at it another way, you're always going to have these controversies.
All right.
So it's just a part of it.
Let me make one point here. The only way you can get a mule's attention sometimes is hit him between the eyes with a 2x4. I think that's what they've done.
You can get a lot more out of a mule.
They have got a lot of them.
Patting him on the back, and you can kicking him in the back end.
Thank you, Ross Perot, for that metaphor. All right, I hold in my hand the last. All right, we'll continue.
What's a metaphor?
To keep cows in. We'll continue with our Home Depot free race show in a moment. Here's what's around the turn. The rocket. Ryan Newman, host for a little Southern hospitality, puts his Dodge in victory lane. That's what he's hoping for today. How about Jimmy Johnson? He's won 5 of the last 9 Cup races. We're going to hear from him. He'll talk about what happened to him. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been at the high and low end of this Atlanta racetrack. He'll talk to us about the thinking upside today. And what are all these drivers talking about? Don't flip. Don't flipping. Don't do Carl Edwards. The answers are just around the turn. Fox, glad to have you with us here from Atlanta. And welcome back to the Home Depot pre-race show, brought to you by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. A star-studded field of drivers. It'll go 190 miles per hour. Actually, in practice a couple of days ago, 199 miles per hour. Bobby Labonte is a six-time winner here. Darrell Waltrip has won this race 3 times. Jeff Hammack, crew chief, a part of that. There's the veteran Mark Martin, passed up the Busch race yesterday. And there is Bobby Labonte hoping to bounce back. Guys, what type of race do you think we'll see today?
It's 500 miles, and it's one of those races that can take its toll on engines those last 50, 75 miles. So that's something to keep your eyes on. We saw here last year, a number of guys had engine failures right near the end of the race. But I think it doesn't take a crystal ball to figure out who's going to be at the front. The one guy I think you got to keep an eye on is Carl Edwards.
Okay, who
he
won
had
the
a
Busch
third-place
race
finish here last year. He won the Busch race yesterday, and this kid has got he's on a roll. He's enthusiastic. He's exciting. I keep my eye on him today.
At the same time, I think we saw yesterday during the Busch race that these tires are going to be kind of like the center, I think, of what goes on with these race cars. So guys who get on and off pit road, get good pit stops, that's going to be critical. And the way your car handles during the course of the day, the tires are softer, they're going to wear more, so you may see guys run out like a rabbit, and all of a sudden a man will run him back down because his car's working better on the long haul. So having a good handling race car, and when you think about that, one of the other young guys you got to watch today, Casey Kane. I think today could be a breakout day for him. I think he's got things kind of going the right way. Ray Evernham's been working really hard with him, and I think it's going to be a good day for those guys.
Dodge hasn't been in victory lane here since Richard Petty in '77. You mentioned Carl Edwards at the Busch race when he won Saturday. He had done the backflip thing when he won the Truck Series. Said he wouldn't do it again until he finally won. Darrell, how about that? This is better than you getting out of the car.
This is incredible. I mean, if I tried that, I'd never drive again.
You might not be able to move again.
I might be able to try it once, but that'd be about it.
You wouldn't look too good in a full body cast.
How much trouble I had just crawling out of a pace car. So, that's a great deal. I love that.
Neither one of you mentioned Ryan Newman, who has 5 straight poles in Atlanta, but no win here. And also Kevin Harvick, who is working his way back up after some problems last week. Steve Burns is standing by with Kevin Harvick. Steve?
Thanks, Chris. He's about to be introduced, but we'll catch up to him quickly. Kevin, how do you adjust? Todd Berrier not here, you and your team?
Well, I think you just go about it as usual. Todd's been with us for 4.5 out of the 6 years I've been with RCR, so it's definitely an adjustment. But Jim Goodwin Chevrolet, we made a lot of adjustments on it before qualifying, and hopefully everything was right. The conditions are quite a bit different, but we'll just go about it the same way we do every week.
All right, we'll let you go. They're calling your name. Good luck, Kevin. Back to you, Chris.
All right, thanks, Steve. And Kevin Harvick to be introduced up there in front of the stage with the fans. Jeff, how about it, the bond, and in a race not having your crew chief with you, especially a guy like Harvick who's trying to stay in the points race?
I think right now his confidence has got to be a little bit shaken because his comfort zone has been disrupted. And what I mean about that, when you get on that radio, you want to hear a calming voice. You want to know that somebody knows what you want and can adjust that race car accordingly. And if it's not there, it puts that added pressure on the driver. And here at Atlanta, as fast as this race is, you don't need added pressure.
Real quick, I got an email during the break from some old drivers said, make sure I ask you guys about whether you call it cheating or not. Did you two ever kind of bend the rules or interpret things a little bit differently with you guys for
I never cheated during a race.
Oh, no,
I never cheated during a race.
You were worried about how many inspectors they'd have lying around.
Well, I thought we didn't have 2 inspectors in the pits with us. We didn't go through inspection after the race.
Like Hammond is the first time he's been quiet in a long time. Hollywood.
Now, I don't know what he did.
Yeah, that's right.
I know I never cheated during the race. That's all I know.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. With television ratings up and more women watching NASCAR than ever before, we continue with our Who is NASCAR's Sexiest Driver contest. Each week, 2 drivers compete against each other in a face-off. Your vote determines the winner. Last week, we began with Dale Earnhardt Jr. against Carl Edwards. Fans voted at foxsports.com, powered by MSN, keyword sexiest. The winner with 66% of the vote, Dale Earnhardt Jr. So these are your brackets. You got to follow these, right? Dale now advances to face the winner of this week's face-off between Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart. Remember, it's sexiest, not grumpiest. I kid because I care. The overall winner will be announced in our June race at Sonoma. So vote, go to foxsports.com, powered by MSN, the keyword sexiest. You can write in Hammond or DW.
Yeah, but what I'm looking at right there, that's smoke versus fire, right?
Right. You can vote for either one. We'll talk live with Dale Jr. in a moment.
I think it'll be by brackets, 8 brackets.
There you go. Yeah. Welcome back to Atlanta, counting it down to the race. Wow, look at Kurt Busch, Jimmy Spencer. It's Not quite NASCAR's version of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, but pretty close. You get the idea.
But I thought he said he never forgot.
A slight memory lapse.
Oh, okay.
Right here. A little excitement. The current points leader is Kurt Busch. Kurt took over the lead when last week's Las Vegas winner, Jimmy Johnson, was penalized. Let's welcome in Jimmy Johnson right now. Is getting ready to step in the car and go race. Jimmy, thanks very much for joining us. By the way, how'd you celebrate in Vegas? You have a good time after the race?
I had a great time. There's nothing like winning.
All right, and how much should, given the Chad Knaus punishment penalty, how much should the driver be held accountable for any kind of infractions that NASCAR might punish a team for?
Well, the thing is, every situation is different, and the unfortunate situation with everything nowadays is that NASCAR has to look at things either black or white, and they're put in a position where they have to make a ruling, even if they feel that you weren't at an advantage, that you didn't intentionally try to do anything wrong, and that something bad may have happened to you. So that's what's happening in our sport. It's so big, and there's so much riding on every point that they're put in a position just to call it black or white, and unfortunately, we feel that we've been treated unfairly, and through the conversations we've had with NASCAR, they understand what happened to our car, but there's a rule there, and they've got to do what they have to do. So we're going to fight it next week on Tuesday, see what happens, but the best thing we could do right now is go out and put in a good day's race, and hopefully go to victory lane again, let that car go through tech, and any of the naysayers can be quiet then.
Jimmy, one question I've got is it on Tuesday, will you be there with Chad and I guess Rick Hendrick, to state your case, because you are trying to, keep your crew chief working on that race car and get this suspension, I believe, lifted?
I don't think so. Everything I've seen on television with court appearances and all the great TV shows we have, anybody with emotion in there usually stirs things up. So if Chad and I are in there, I don't think it's going to be a good thing. We got Mr. Hendrick going in with our team of people and keep it nice and calm and let them plead our case.
Hey, Jimmy, SDW, when you're in the race and you're going along and you were having trouble early in the race, wasn't running all that great, and all of a sudden the thing just took off like a rocket ship, you call Chad and say, hey, dude, what'd you do?
Well, we were so loose, and it makes sense as to why we were so loose. The wedge bolt was backing out. We were losing rear ride height, and the spoiler was out of the air. And from the beginning of the race on, we fought a very loose condition. I think a lot of other teams had a tight condition. And finally, we had so much wedge cranked in the thing that at the end of the day, it would stay underneath me off the turn into the corner. Guys had me beat pretty bad. But we finally just got it where I could drive it and stay in the gas, and into the front we went.
Yeah, and starting in row 2 today, if you need a lawyer for that hearing, you can't find one. They're all on TV. They're acting like experts in panels. Hey, real quick, I know you're a big Jack Johnson fan. The new album, In Between Dreams, you're in between victories and races. Do you have the new CD?
I do have the new CD. It's a little slower than the other ones, so I listen to it at times, but the other 2 CDs he has keep me going. In fact, I was listening to it on my iPod just in the bus before I came on out for driver intros.
Hey, JJ, this DW again, how did the run in the Busch race yesterday, how's that going to help you today?
I'm not sure it's going to help much with the car setup, but for me, getting used to the outside, that's a big help. I'm usually a line chaser. I like to stay on the bottom and follow the white line, and in most tracks, if they painted a white line right by the wall, that'd be great. So it usually takes me half the race to find the outside groove and find the right rhythm, and yesterday's Busch race, I think, has put me in position just to jump up there early and get going.
All right, thanks, Jimmy, for your time so much, so close to the start of the race. Have fun. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, of course, one in Atlanta. We talked about his dominance. Talk about a great batting average. Jeff Gordon, of course, part of Hendrick Motorsports. But Jimmy Johnson, 5 of the last 9 Cup races run, he's had success. So would he still be your choice, even though he's not leading in the points as your points champ?
By all means, and also he's a victim of his own success. When you have won that many races, the competition starts to complain. If you listen to the race Sunday, Greg Biffle's calling in saying, hey, that 48 car, they got their quarter panel pulled out. Everybody's inspecting your car, not just NASCAR.
So you guys got to police each other, or you tell on each other.
That's how they get caught.
That is what NASCAR is all about. Most of the time, NASCAR learns about cheating from one of us, because they say, hey, go check on that guy out there. He's cheating. He's got to be doing something different. It's not right. The body's wrong. This is wrong. That's wrong.
You know how Kevin Harvick got caught at Vegas?
With the fuel?
The gas man told on him. The guy putting gas in the car. Everybody else was taking a gallon or 2 of gas after qualifying. He couldn't get any to go in the Harvick's car, so he went and told NASCAR, hey, that guy didn't use any gas qualifying.
It's good that we have some honest citizens here to help out at the track. All right, by the way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to join us live in a moment, and fans are invited to participate in the singular virtual crew chief during today's race. Stay tuned for details on how to play, and watch for your chance to drive away in your own singular 31 car. All right, crew chiefs, when they're not busy getting their cars and drivers ready in Atlanta, this after the year the Falcons had, they do all kinds of things like have a little fun. Some of that's the
They're looking for some talent, what they're doing.
Ryan
looking
Newman's
for some receivers.
Right, Falcons could use an additional receiver for Michael Vick. We'll be back. We're counting it out of the race here in Atlanta. Don't go away. Fox, glad to have you with us. The Home Depot pre-race show brought to you by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. Dolly Stewart helping out. Mr. Stewart, please, I need some wallpaper sign here. I'll put it on your tab. The marketing slogan for this track is real racing, real fast. Dale Earnhardt Jr. hopes those words apply to him today. Over the past couple of weeks, Dale has been watching the OC on Fox. That's not OC as in Orange County, but OC as an off course.
Dale Jr. with a left front down. Dale Jr.'s woes continue. A big crash in turn number 1.
When you say hit me in Vegas, or does it mean this? Can he get on course? Here is GD's Alaska with Dale Jr.
Well, thank you, Chris. If this were happening to any other driver, and by the way, it is, this would be a non-issue, but I guess Superman is not allowed to get off to a slow start. Is that correct?
Superman, I don't know. I think Shane Mill up there is Superman, but you know, we're struggling, and we're hoping today we can turn it around. I told the media yesterday, you know, a couple good runs, and this you know, it'll be a totally different program, totally new story. So we're gonna have some success. We're just gonna work real hard to get to it, and I think the car's got a lot more than it's been showing us all weekend. We struggled with the new impound rule. I haven't had a lot of comfort in qualifying with the impound rules, so hopefully the car is a good race car today.
So can you point to maybe an issue in the program? You know, some people are saying, well, you know, you swap crew chiefs, you swap crews. I mean, is there anything you could point to?
Well, you know, I don't know if we can really just point to anything or anybody. Everybody, I think all of us just got to work real hard, and including myself, and we just got to buckle down and be willing to sacrifice whatever it takes. You know, if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it, and we got to all decide that we want it bad enough. You know, so I couldn't ask anybody at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated to work any harder than they're working right now, and you know, misfortune just finds people sometime, and our time will come around.
All right, by the way, after a very frustrating run at Las Vegas last year, you rebounded with a victory here in Atlanta. Let's see, Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Judy. Yeah, Junior's been down this road before. He's confident. He's not worried. In fact, he said in qualifying he thinks he'll be in the top 10 or top 5 by the 60th lap today.
Pretty optimistic, I'd say. But let me just tell you, the driver, he sets the feel for the team. Ever how the driver feels, if he's up, he's confident. But tell you the other thing the driver's got to do, he's got to be committed. He's got to have that resolve. He's got to be willing to test, stay up nights, hold that crew's hand until they get it fixed.
Yeah. Last couple of tracks, not Junior's kind of track. This one may be. Is it? I like that question that Ginny asked him. Is it more driver or more team? What would you say at this point, or car?
It's got to be the team, because I mean, Dale can drive as hard as he can, but if the guys on the crew cannot get the car like he needs it to be, his talent will not come to the top, and he will not be able to get to victory lane. Right now, the worst thing he's got going for him is his name is Earnhardt, and everybody's got him under that microscope. So he's got added pressure on top of the fact that he's not running real well. They would expect him to do well whenever he gets to the racetrack, but he's going to have to do like what Darrell says. Pete Rondeau and that whole crew, they've got to rally around one another, and they've got to fight their way out of this, and they'll be able to get back up on top. I don't think they're quitters, and I think that's one thing that's going to make a big difference. As he said, 1 or 2 good races, it'll all be forgotten.
But, you know, it's communication. The communication between the driver and the crew chief. When we talk about the driver says, I'm really, really loose. Well, that to a crew chief that doesn't know that driver very well, he'll make a huge change, and the car will go junk. So you got to learn how to communicate, and what's a driver really saying?
You got to listen to their voice tones. With Darrell, I'm loose, I'm loose, I'm loose.
All right, it gets a little
accordingly.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has never used his name. I mean, he's fought and earned what he's had to, and I think he knows he expects more out of himself. And it'll show you how far he's fallen in the points battle. His name cannot be found here in the top, not only 10, but top 20. He's in 27th place right now, and guys like Carl Edwards, Mike Bliss, Kyle Petty, even Dave Blaney are ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Elliott Sadler 13th, but hopes to move up with a strong finish. And Sadler finalizing a new 3-year contract extension with Robert Yates Racing. How about extending the mind of the amazing Elliott? He sat down with me at our popular 10 laps with. What was your most difficult subject in school?
English.
Should have figured
guessed that one.
Right. What CD is in your car right now?
Nickelback.
Oh, all right. How about if they made a movie about your life, who would you want to play the lead role?
Brad Pitt.
Why is that?
Because he's hot. All the women like him. That's cool, man.
If you could be a star at any other sport, what would it be and what would you do?
I would really love to be in the NBA. I would love to play professional basketball. That's always been a love of mine growing up, is that sport. So I really love to do that. I think that'd be cool.
Just a little therapy for you. One word association. You get the one word that comes to mind. Okay, when I throw this out. All right, comedian.
Chris Tucker.
Military.
Brave.
Chase for the championship.
Hardest thing in the world.
Inspiration.
My dad.
Tattoos.
Gross.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Thank God I don't have to hear it before every race.
Okay.
I know I can't say that, can I?
You can say that. That's good.
All right, I know.
Let me see.
No respect.
Sadler,
No respect.
You know, and that's surprised me because he calls me champ. He calls me Mr.
Oh, he kids because he cares. He got your new DVD on dwstore.com about
man, I wish I'd had that I wish I'd had a helicopter thing in there.
Yeah, we'll add that to the video. All right, like a race team. You know, we have a lot of great people that work hard to bring you NASCAR on Fox. We want to congratulate Chris Long, affectionately known as Muscles to most of us. He's moving on to the Speed Channel, part of the Fox family. The drivers wish him well, and they realize they're going to be seeing a lot more of him.
Muscles, hey, congrats, man. You deserve it. You work hard and got a lot of crazy ideas going on in that thick skull of yours, but you know, happy for you. I'm not so sure how you're going to fare in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming from LA. Matter of fact, I think I might have to move to LA if you're coming to Charlotte, because that distance was perfect before. I think we might need to keep that same distance.
Muscles, congratulations, buddy. If anybody deserves a job like that, it's you.
All right, we're here.
Ain't no telling what's going to happen to Speed Channel now. I'm sure it's all going to be good stuff, but congratulations on your job, man. And I don't know what your wife's going to think about moving out of California to North Carolina, but she'll get used to it. All the luck, man.
Muscles, thanks for everything. Thanks for all the stupid things you've had me do over the years, from kung fu fighting in my rookie year to stair racing, the hot dog stand. If you don't ruin the station, it's probably going to be the greatest thing on earth. So good luck to you, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you around a lot. So as much as I'd like to crush you on national TV right now, I'm going to need you later on. So anyway, good luck with your new adventure.
Congratulations, and look forward to you moving to Charlotte and being our neighbor. So congratulations.
All right, we're here to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire tonight with
Dale.
Good getting a job, Muscles. Hope you get minimum wage, at least.
All right, we're here tonight to play Who Wants to Be. All right, we're here to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Slow down just a little bit.
Oh, thanks, teach me. Slow down.
And I heard you're moving to North Carolina, so if you need to know where all the hot spots are and stuff, I can have my people call you or something, or send you an email maybe. I got my old double wide I used to live in, if you want to live in it. So it's a little wore out, but probably perfect for you.
No, he eventually got the name. We wish him a lot of luck. We'll stay in touch until after the show. And for all of your career.
Dale Jr. gave some good advice. Slow down a little bit.
Yeah, right. Did you see Muscles in a double wide, though?
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, you got to
up after somebody.
You got to get up to the booth to join Mike and Larry. Having you hang around with me, we'll go to the cutaway car. We got a long way to go. The Golden Corral 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yes,
hang on tight. Come your way home.
NASCAR on Fox welcomes you to the Golden Corral Buffet and Grill 500. Presented today by Gillette M3 Power. Hampton, Georgia, south of Atlanta, Atlanta Motor Speedway. It looked like this in the 1970s. That was the front stretch and control tower and suites. My, how this sport has grown. Bruton Smith bought this racetrack, built condos in turn 4, flipped the front stretch to the back stretch, expanded this speedway to now it'll hold a huge crowd. Why? Because this is the fastest track in all of NASCAR. And they have come from throughout the South to be thrilled by their heroes. The action here is fast, and as Kyle Busch found out in qualifying Friday night, furious. Let's go trackside for today's opening ceremonies.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, will you please rise and remove your hats as the Georgia State Patrol Color Guard presents our nation's colors. And will you please remain standing and welcome Alan T. Waldrop, State Chaplain for the Georgia State Patrol and Department of Homeland Security, as he delivers today's invocation.
Let us pray together. Heavenly Father, Lord, we love you. And Father, we pause at this time and in this place to give thanks for you, recognizing that from you all good things that we enjoy come. And Father, we pray now that you bless this event, bless the drivers, their crew, and family. Bless us all, and may God be with us. This is our prayer in the name of our Lord Christ. Amen and amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please make welcome multi-platinum country recording artist, known most recently for his hit Letters from Home, John Michael Montgomery, as he performs today's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held by the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner wave? Oh, the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Michael
It has already been an action-packed weekend here in Atlanta. Let's pick up from Friday and Saturday, the quarterfinal and semifinal round action.
As they work their way through 3 and 4, they're side by side coming out of turn number 4 on the high side. Bobby Labonte, they hit again. It's Bobby Labonte, Ron Hornaday goes across the start-finish line just inches in front of Bobby Labonte.
Hey, how about Carl Edwards in the 60 car? Look at him! Wow! Turn 2. Carl Edwards in the 60. He has 4 fresh tires.
Well, the other guy, Carl Edwards may just have checked out on him, guys.
Here he comes, the rookie from the pole, Carl Edwards. In the turn 4.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Nothing like winning your first race.
Ron Hornaday a winner. Carl Edwards becomes one of NASCAR's newest and suddenly brightest stars. And today, the big dance, 500 miles for the Nextel Cup cars in Hotlanta. NASCAR on Fox welcomes you back to the Golden Corral 500. Presented on Fox by Gillette M3 Power. We're just minutes away from a start here in Atlanta, as Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. Budweiser congratulates Ryan Newman for his 5th straight Atlanta pole. The latest Budweiser shootout eligible driver. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds. Darrell Waltrip will join us shortly. Larry, I know you've got a book this thick, thicker than the phone book in Atlanta, of crew chief notes for this place. How many of them still fit
they're not worth a whole lot this morning. You know, we've been talking all year long with all the changes, with the reduction of rear spoiler, the change in the tire. The crew chiefs were able to throw away their notes from the past and just work off this year. But because of what's went on here this weekend, you can almost throw the notes away from Friday, because these cars have not been on the racetrack since Friday, and the weather is 20 to 30 degrees warmer. This racetrack is so slick. These guys, it's a chess match from the get-go.
Saturday was a welcome day off for some of the teams. They were able to go home back to the Charlotte area and enjoy a day off, or in some cases a day at the shop. So a lot of unknowns as we come to the fastest track in NASCAR, and we go trackside.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for those most famous words in motorsports, please welcome our special guest from the United States Special Operations Command.
Engines have fired. We're set to go racing for round 4 of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. We'll show you our starting lineup across the crawl at the bottom of the screen and get some pit updates, beginning with Matt Yoakum.
Mike, Darlington Raceway, maybe 285 miles away from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but polling a number of crew chiefs today, they say that same tire wearing out characteristic we always see at Darlington is what they're expecting to see today here at Atlanta. In fact, Tommy Baldwin, known in the modifieds for always taking on 2 tires, it'll be 4 tires today on every stop. In fact, they've got 10 sets of tires already mounted, lugs glued in the 9 pit. Casey Kane, a 3rd and a 5th here last year. They are expecting, hoping for better things today. To Steve Burns.
Well, thank you, Matt. Jeff Gordon made his very first Nextel Cup start here in Atlanta in 1992. Today will be his 26th. He has 4 wins and as much experience as Gordon has. And together with crew chief Robbie Loomis, they really don't know what kind of a race car they have. As Larry McReynolds says, there's a lot of unknowns. They haven't been on the racetrack since Friday. There's been a truck race Friday night, a bush race yesterday, a lot of rubber on the track. Robbie Loomis said when the green flag falls, it's going to be a lot like a happy hour session to see what they have. To the editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
Well, Tony Stewart has to go down as a favorite to win this afternoon. In the last 7 races here, he has led almost 25% of the laps. Won one of those races. Ran the bush race yesterday, finished 2nd, learned a lot. As a new car, he's been fast in practice. And this, I spoke with him moments ago. He predicted a very fast, slick racetrack, just like he likes them. To Jeannie Zalasko.
Well, Joe Nemechek led a race high of 63 laps in California before his engine failed. And then it was a pit road miscue that caused his 3rd place car at that time to fall out of contention. The 0-1 team says they have paid the past 2 weeks because they have been knocking out the door. Joe Nemechek feels this will be their weekend. He likes the car a lot and he likes the track. He has 2 top 10s in his past 5 races here. Mike?
Thanks, Jeannie. The threat of rain from the weekend has dissipated. Going to be a nice sunny day, about 68 degrees to go racing here in Atlanta. 43 drivers are ready. 100-some thousand fans are ready, so let's go.
Somebody that knows something about it. But I won't answer now. Where, why? See, a lot of dudes like to act the fool now. You don't lie, but that ain't my style. Who he gonna get? And what he gonna do? Run up on me if you want to. Damn pressing his homie. Cut up in front of his mama. I'm up the flow with him. And I can get in the door and let the football get him. I got who that'll go get him. That's the him, the crew, and the two that run with him.
The Department of Defense has a new website where you can support America's troops. Read messages from service personnel, learn to send your own messages or care packages, and find ways to volunteer or make donations that go to support our fighting forces. Find out more by visiting americasupportsyou.mil. Tuesday, the Nextel Cup standings took a turn. Jimmy Johnson left Vegas with the lead. The penalty dropped him to 2nd behind Kurt Busch. Kevin Harvick fell from 8th to 10th in the standings. There's your top 10, including yesterday's winner, the rookie Carl Edwards. Now here's the danger zone. Drivers 35th and above after 5 races are exempted from having to qualify for the show. But look at the Joe Gibbs cars, one of the Evernham cars, and the Wood brothers presently on the outside looking in. Now, Larry said earlier the teams were off yesterday, and many of them had a chance to go home, but the place wasn't empty of Nextel Cup regulars, Darrell.
No, there were nine of the top 10 finishers in the Busch race yesterday are in the field today. I am so excited about that if I'm a driver. I got to run that race yesterday under very similar conditions. And you know what else I'm excited about? I remembered to take off my clear shield and put my tinted shield back on for the sunshine today.
But the drivers were not the only one working yesterday. Even though the Nextel Cup garage was closed, I saw a lot of Nextel Cup crew chiefs that had no affiliation with Busch teams walking up and down pit road. And I think the biggest thing all of us learned, especially watching that Busch race, when that man waves that yellow flag, you better get you 4 more Goodyear tires.
Well, anytime you run at a racetrack faster than the speed at which jet planes take off, aerodynamics is key. Here's Chris and Jeff at our Ford Cutaway car.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We're just down below the Hollywood Hotel, and Jeff's got the little rotisserie thing working. Right, guys go into the corners at 199 miles per hour. The aerodynamics paramount. Why is it so important to have a perfect fender?
Well, Chris, what you're doing with this fender is you're putting pressure on the front end. That's what helps grip the front tires. And anytime you run into somebody or run into something that damages these fenders, knock this fender in, and all of a sudden, you lose that grip on that tire. As Jeff Burton explained to me, you go down that corner 190 miles an hour, turn the wheel, and the car wants to go straight, and that's not a good thing.
All right, deal with a little bundle. So what can a driver or the crew do if there is something wrong with the fender and the driver can get into the pits?
Well, until you get an opportunity to get in the pits, he's going to have to hunt around, look and find a way to enter the corner to make the best of that bad situation. If that means rolling out the throttle early, you'll just have to do that till you get a chance to go to pit road. Hopefully those guys can make a little bit of adjustment on it. Not to make NASCAR mad, now. You got to kind of keep the car shaped up like they've told you to, but you want to get that fender back as good a shape as possible so this car will go around the racetrack, get the front grip you want, and give you an opportunity to win this race.
You are Mr. Fix-It. So at this racetrack today, no such thing as a minor fender bender. Mike?
1 to go when they come to the line here. Let's have a look at today's weather. It's going to get up to about 68 degrees.
And I think the biggest thing we were talking a while ago is the fact, look at the track temperature. We were very cloudy and overcast on Friday, but look at there now, over 100 degrees, and it's the middle of the day. It's going to continue to go up. It just makes these cars slide around more and more chassis adjustments needed.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of tire wear, particularly right rear tire wear, so that slipping and sliding is going to make it even worse.
Here's our NASCAR on Fox ride-along program. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, Jason Leffler, Michael Waltrip, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Burton, Kyle Petty, and Dale Jarrett, all carrying our NASCAR on Fox onboard cameras. 2 cars to the rear. Mike Wallace for an engine change, and Kyle Busch, who crashed in qualifying, went immediately to a backup car, so they'll start in the back.
Watching that reminds me of, did you see that? I think everybody will be able to see that because we got plenty of cameras.
You see right there, 500 miles, like DW was talking, hard on these engines. Pit road speed, we've been seeing that be a factor every single week, 45 miles per hour. The fuel window, 55 to 60 laps, but trust me, after about lap 15, that driver will say, we get a caution, I need some tires.
Oh, yesterday they fell back through the field like flies, man. I mean, if you didn't take tires, you went to the rear. Look at this joint. I love it, man. It's like being in a big old stadium, like great feeling, great atmosphere here.
DW, let me tell you about a good feeling. Next time we come around over 190 miles per hour, reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Get up on your feet in the suite. Here we come. Buggity, buggity, buggity. Let's go racing, boys. I don't think Bobby Jr. heard me. 32 car didn't get a very good start.
Trouble back straight away. Car around. That was Bobby Labonte's 2nd week in a row.
A lot of cars around. That's a huge
the 24,
wreck.
Matt Kenseth in the 17. Remember, this is what happened to Bobby Labonte early in the race at Las Vegas.
They're still wrecking back there.
Kurt Busch, our points leader in the 97 car.
And just like yesterday, we don't get through the first lap here.
That started off at turn 2, and I tell you what happened. Bobby Jr. got up on the outside there, and I can't remember. I can't tell you who had the lift, but that's what bottlenecked these guys up.
Kyle Petty in the 45 car came into Atlanta, 16th in points, and look at Jeff Gordon.
At a track where aerodynamics is so important. Oh, and a really tough break for Shane Meal, who had a superb qualifying run, and it has gone for naught. Steve?
Right before the green flag, Mike Joy, Bobby Hamilton Jr. was concerned that he had a flat left rear tire. A flat left rear tire. That may have been the culprit here.
He does, Steve. We can see it on the monitor. And he was up on the outside over there, and he and someone got together off of 2, and that's what started that.
Casey Mears, there's Bobby Labonte.
And remember, Mike, you showed in the beginning in the points, Bobby Labonte's not even in the top 35 right now.
Well, it's Casey Mears that got loose first.
I think that really started a little further up with those guys reacting to what they saw.
For Bobby Labonte, though, who has won here 6 times, and that Joe Gibbs number 18, it is a second straight week of frustration. Scott Riggs may have got in the back of.
He got into the back of Casey Kane and turned him right there, and here they go. But again, I believe Casey may have lifted because of what happened in front of him. Jeff Gordon doesn't make really hard contact, although he does make contact.
Dave Blaney squeaked through. There's Matt Kenseth 17. Travis Quaffle got it twice. And there Labonte comes to a halt right in front of Jeff Burton.
97 car, minor damage, I would think.
You're riding with Jeff Burton.
We're low. Got to spin in front of you. Get down low if you can. Easy. A lot of smoke. Can't help you a lot. Easy through here. Easy through. Got them piled up in front of you.
Easy means easy.
Caution is out on lap 1 for a multi-car pileup exiting turn 2.
The Golden Corral 500 on Fox is presented by new M3 Power Nitro from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. Also by Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. By State Farm, great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm. And by Chevy, the defending manufacturer's champion. The revolution races on.
Cars that have come to pit road after that pileup include Casey Mears, Robbie Gordon, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and Jeff Burton. Jeff Gordon's taken his car to the garage.
Yeah, they're the 32 car he was clear and clean of all this. It happened back there like we saw with Scott Riggs and Casey Mears.
It looked like Casey Mears in the 41 car was loose off the corner, and then it slung back around, overcorrected, and then of course they started stacking up behind him.
Dick Berggren.
With Jeff Gordon, and we've got a mini monitor back here, and Jeff is most interested in seeing what happened. Take a look. Tell us what happened.
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell from there. Looks like there was some contact with the 41 and a couple other guys, and then he got turned sideways. And once that happened, it just caused a big wreck. And I thought I was going to get through there. I saw smoke, but then they all turned down in front of me. So unfortunately, a short day for the DuPont Chevrolet and a lot of other guys. I'd like to see a few more angles and go back a little bit further, see kind of how it all started. I'm not exactly sure what went on there, but we're going to fix it as best we can, get back out there, and it's not going to be a fun day, but it's going to be a long one for us.
How bad is that car?
I mean, mainly just body damage, but we'll figure. I think we'll actually have a pretty decent car when we get back out there. Problem is red flag right now. Can't work on it, and by the time we do get back out there, we're going to be so many laps down. Doesn't matter how good we get it. I guess we'll just be racing the guys that also have damage.
The nose of the car is pretty well pushed in, both the right front, the left front, and the grille.
And to complicate, Dick, NASCAR has a minimum speed that each car must maintain in order to be able to stay out on the racetrack and not be a hazard to competition. So some of these wounded cars are going to have to get pretty well fixed up to be able to go back out on track. Fireworks at the start here at Atlanta Motor Speedway on Fox. Let's show you another look at this. Coming off turn 2, lap 1.
And you watch this car. Watch right here, these two cars, 25 and the 10. Now, they make contact. Watch the smoke fly. And that's why he got his left rear tire cut down right there, Bobby Jr. Now, back behind them, I'm not sure if drivers reacted to seeing the smoke or if the spotter said something, but that's what created this mess behind them. I'm not sure that the two are related, but they more than likely are.
Now, we've looked at multiple angles and cannot confirm whether there was contact between Scott Riggs in the white number 10 and the green 41 of Casey Mears.
Because when we see the 41 here, he's already sideways, and Riggs is obviously going past.
We definitely know everything behind that was a chain reaction.
See what we got on this look. We got a lot of looks. You got to realize something. They're doing 185, 90 miles an hour right at that point. And just like we heard Jeff Burton's spotter, Jeff Burton's way back here. Spotter was saying, easy, easy, easy. They're wrecking in front of him. And look at Rusty right there. Rusty went right through the middle of that. And here's Burton making contact here after being told to take it easy. Bobby Labonte, he got, I don't know how many times he got hit.
And Dick Berggren is with the 6th-time Atlanta winner.
Yeah, and 3 times he finished second and had hoped to turn around a tough season here at Atlanta. What happened out there?
You know, I say I don't know. I know I kind of watched a little bit of on TV there, and, you know, a couple guys already got into 2 guys. 2 cars got into 2 other cars off of turn 2. You know, 500 miles. That's all I can say. It's 500 miles, not 1 lap.
Boy, can you tell the disappointment? Wow. Matty?
The engines have fired on the cars that are sitting on the front stretch. Meanwhile, the 97 team waiting for NASCAR to say the red flag has been lifted. The red flag now lifted has been an advantage for this team. It gave Jimmy Finnig, Mike Kelly, and the boys a chance to look at the damage on the championship leader's car. One big issue they had, there's a broken fender brace in the left front corner. Besides the cosmetic damage, they've already beaten out a lot of the sheet metal, but they're going to have to fix that fender brace. Jeff Hammond showed you the importance of fenders, especially here. Now that fender brace will hold that fender up in place as that car dives down to the corner, and they are going to have to fix that on the 97 car of Kurt Busch. Steve?
Matt, problems for 2003 Nextel Cup champ Matt Kenseth. He has steering problems. Basically, his car is out of line. They're trying to get it squared up right now. Crew Chief Robbie Reiser talking to the team. A lot of damage on the 17 car. He's on pit road.
The teams had yesterday off, and all of these teams are working double overtime today after a lap 1 crash.
I don't want to say that qualifying on Friday night, not getting back into race car till Sunday is a problem, but it's part of it.
Let's join Chris in for a Visa race break.
Thanks at the Ford Cutaway car below the Hollywood Hotel with Jeff Hammond. 4 former points champions involved in that 9-car wreck. Jeff, why don't you illustrate to us a little bit some of the things that Matt and Steve were explaining. Crews are working on cars with damage. We'll start with, I guess, Kurt Busch's car.
Well, we're talking about right now trying to get these fender braces straightened back up. You can see this is the inner structure work that helps support the nose and builds out where the fenders are mounted. When all this is damaged, it changes the shape of the nose. So they're going to go back in there with the hammers, try to beat it back out. Hopefully, it's reinforced enough to where, again, they can make that arrow work across the 97 car. Other guys that they're going to be working with, if you'll take a look inside, you will look, here is the tie rod ends. A lot of times when you get hit real hard in the front end, it will bend a tie rod. It will bend a lower control arm. It can bend also an upper control arm. So these teams will be taking a look in these areas and making the necessary repairs where they make the adjustment with the tie rods or having to replace the parts. They've got to get these cars where they'll drive straight at these kind of speeds and give the driver an opportunity to finish the race.
Bobby Labonte, very upset, made the point of emphasis, 500-mile race. When you're repairing a car after lap 1 here, what goes into it knowing that this is that long a race?
Number one, you've got to get it right the first time. NASCAR has now come down with a new rule. If your car cannot make minimum speed, they'll make you go in the garage and you won't be allowed to come back out. So getting it done right the first time, make sure it's safe and can maintain that speed is so important.
This has been a Visa race break from the Ford Cutaway car. Let's check in with Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, this wreck was no respecter of either veterans or rookies. You have heard from a couple of the veterans already. Travis Quapple, a rookie here in the Cup Series. Wow, that car is really torn up. What happened?
Well, as best I could tell, the 41 car got loose off of turn 2, and basically everybody just kind of checked up and got up into it. I was going to try and go below it, and somebody got in my left rear, and well, just got wadded up. I hate it for the Kodak guys. We had a really good race car. It's a brand new car. They worked really hard on it. It was fast, and I was going to try and have a good run for Brian DeSana today. Little guy's sick, so hopefully hopefully I didn't ruin his day. I just hope he enjoys the race, and we'll go get him next week for everybody.
All right, this one has been front and back, big time.
Let's go back to the top of the show and the danger zone. These are car owner points. Exempted from qualifying are the top 35. Here is Bobby Labonte, 2 weeks in a row, out of the race early. And after 5 races, they begin using this year's car owner points to determine who has to qualify and who doesn't. So that team is in a deep hole right now.
Yeah, you got to be within 400 points of the leader. Only run 4 races, and he's already almost 400 points out of touch.
To make the chase for the Cup at the end of 26 races.
Right.
A brief red flag period. 5 laps complete. Officially all under caution.
Follow a little bit up on what Jeff said. You got a long way to go. I mean, the race just started, so you've got to fix the car right now. So if you have any chance at all of making up laps or staying out there and running fast, do it now. Got a long way to go.
And that red flag was welcome for those teams that basically had to repair their car, because it was they were able to formulate a game plan without being able to work on it. We talked about Rusty Wallace there, the 2 car just barely getting through. Looked like he maybe had a little bit of damage. And Jimmy Finning, crew chief for Kurt Busch, the 97, they have their car repaired and they're back out there, and they are still on the lead lap.
There are 10 cars under repair from this accident, and already 4 of them have gone laps down. Pace cars in. We go back to green to begin lap 6. Single file restart. Ryan Newman out front.
Try this again.
But for how long? Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48. You look back there, Carl Edwards in that green and white number 99. These 2 cars were the class of the field yesterday in that Busch race. I mean, already we're seeing cars run multiple grooves. You see Ryan Newman in the 12 already running the high side. We saw that a lot yesterday in the Busch race as well.
Darrell, I think you hit on the big difference. 3 of the top 4 right there, Johnson, Edwards, and Biffle, got 300 miles on this track yesterday.
They're comfortable. These other guys have got to get up to speed. I mean, you know, it's been, like I said, it's been since Friday that they were on the racetrack.
And throw in the mix the man running 5th, Casey Kane. He ran that race as well yesterday.
I guess we keep talking, everybody will have a Busch car next week.
Dick Berggren with a disappointed rookie.
Well, yeah, Shane Meals had a tough weekend. Pit problems on Friday night in the Truck Series. Yesterday a crash, today a crash. This thing is really torn up. How hard you hit?
I hit pretty good. It was one of those deals you're not expecting to hit, and couldn't see for all the smoke, and somebody run into me in the back and turned his head on into the wall. So it's unfortunate. We launched Wind Fuel yesterday, which is a great multivitamin by Goins Technology, same maker of Trim Spa. It's disappointing to get it started off like this, but we've got a great crew, and we're going to run this car, the 08 Wind Fuel Chevy at Bristol, and we'll be back next week with a 32 Wind Fuel Chevrolet at Nashville.
Street clothes mean he's all done for today, Mike.
Thanks, Dick. Of the top 7 drivers, only 2, Ryan Newman, our pole sitter, and Joe Nemechek, currently 6th, did not compete in yesterday's Aaron's 312 that you saw on FX.
And Joe is usually one of the guys that runs most of the Busch races.
Look at Greg Biffle in that 16 car. He was almost below the white line. It looks like right now Ryan Newman, the 12 car, our pole sitter, car's not exactly like he would want it.
You know, Larry, I just don't see how that car can qualify as fast as it does, be impounded, and not fall back in the race, because you know you've got to have a special setup to go that fast. Not necessarily the best race setup either.
We've seen a good bit of 3 wide racing off turn number 2 right there. Jason Leffler, Scott Riggs going at it. There's Jamie McMurray in the picture with Dale Jarrett and Elliott Sadler. And you're riding with I don't know, somebody. I think it was Leffler.
We got a lot of cameras out there. Yeah. You know, coming off of 2 is a difficult part of this racetrack. It's a little slick right over there. You hit a little patch that they have in the track over there, a black streak. You can see it occasionally. It's like tar. Every now and then you'll hit that and the car will take off. You've got to lift. Somebody's around you, they always have a chance of running over you.
And Darrell, that's really the only, you might say, 90-degree corner. You're carrying so much speed, you just run out of racetrack as you go up on the straightaway.
Of the cars involved in the lap 1 accident, Robbie Gordon and Rusty Wallace running 1 lap down. Matt Kenseth is 7 laps back. And in the garage, Travis Quaffle, Bobby Labonte, Shane Meal, and Jeff Gordon.
Well, we keep wondering when Casey Kane is going to break out of the slump that he started this year with and get back to the form he had last year. Right now, I think he'd probably be tickled to death to run second like he did 4 times last year. He's in 4th place right now.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. I think he had a tire going down. He's back on pit road. Right now, he is 6 laps down, about to go 7.
Boy, what a miserable day. A track this fast in a car that's not driving right. It will wear you out.
Now, in qualifying, we were seeing upwards of 199 entering the corner. Telemetry on Casey Kane showed 194 under race conditions.
And that's still awfully fast because we're 12 laps into this run, and we know the cars will not run as fast today in race trim as they will in qualifying trim because you have a lot of things open, like front end open, to cool the radiator and oil cooler.
See the two different lines here. The 12 car, it gets off of turn 4 a lot better than the 01 because you got a little freer line off of there. The car launches off the corner a lot better than it does if you're on the bottom. Watch the difference in these two cars. 01 can pull up in the corner, but then the 12's got the better line off the corner for speed, gives him good straightaway speed.
This is a battle for 5th position right now. Not surprised to see Joe Nemechek in that 01 running so good. I know this is a different racetrack from Fontana, but this is the same car where he was so strong about 3 weeks ago out there before the engine expired.
Greg Biffle, Casey Kane, 3rd place going off into turn 1.
Seeing the same thing with these two guys right here. Casey Kane in the 9. That's where he ran the Busch race yesterday, right up against the wall. Greg Biffle right around the bottom.
Joe Nemechek carrying Morissette's paint job this week and sponsor. Gets past pole sitter Ryan Newman. That changes 5th place. So we'll get a green flag run here at 15 laps complete this time by Jimmy Johnson leading Carl Edwards by half a second. Jimmy Johnson still leading Carl Edwards by about 0.6 of a second. Quaker State aerial coverage of Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton. Just about a half-hour drive south of Atlanta off I-75. Track that's been here since 1960. Had 2 different configurations and seen some great racing. Mark Martin moves up on Ryan Newman, who continues to drop back. That is 8th place. Here's Matt.
One of the racetracks where this 12 team tested right here in Atlanta, felt comfortable coming into today's race, but Ryan says the car is just really tight and getting tighter, just trying to hold on, settling in by himself, hoping for a caution soon. They fix this race car on pit road.
Well, Matt, that puts a period in what DW has been talking about. I think to run fast around here qualifying, you have to have your car a little bit snug. But you know for the race, you need to free it up. And a lot of cars were loose the other night. That's cars that are running pretty good right now. See Tony Stewart in the 20 car right there. This is going to be a battle. When he catches Ryan Newman in the 12, this will be a battle for ninth. So Ryan is about to fall out of the top 10. But I'm going to tell you, the car, one of our biggest movers is Michael Waltrip in the 15 car. He started back in 37th. He's in 11th, working, trying to get in the top 10. 2 things. Michael won the Busch race yesterday. He ran in it. And also, his race team is the team that won this race a year ago with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And I talked to Michael this morning. He was very optimistic. Tony Jr. said, don't worry, dude. We got the right setup in the car. You'll be good in the race. And, you know, looks like he's pretty close.
For more, here's Matt.
He's got the right setup, and he also has the right race car. This is the same car that Dale Earnhardt Jr. won with here 1 year ago. Michael hasn't said a lot on the radio. The car really to his liking, and it shows. Huge, huge climb. Meanwhile, his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr., much like he was in practice, much like he was in qualifying, loose all the way around this racetrack.
Well, if you were watching qualifying and you knew when you got out of that car, that's the car you had to start the race in today, I would have not slept very well for a couple of nights. That thing was evil.
Ryan Newman in the 12 just lost 2 positions to Tony Stewart in the orange 20 and to Michael Waltrip in the 15.
Well, Newman has 5 straight poles here, but his average finish at this track is 14th. Here's Michael going after Tony Stewart.
Got him.
9th place.
And you know the most unusual thing about Michael Waltrip, Darrell, we talk about it all the time. We go to a racetrack where you rim ride. You run at the top of the racetrack. Michael Waltrip's the first one, but he's running right around the bottom of the racetrack as he is here in 3 and 4.
So you know what that tells me? Maybe it's not Michael, because that car last year rode around the bottom here when Dale Jr. drove it. So has a lot to do with setup.
And that's our first Singular Virtual Crew Chief question. To vote, text the word crew to 191 on your Singular wireless phone, or go to foxsports.com. You'll be entered for a chance to drive away in your own Singular 31 car. Why has DEI struggled the crew swap, crew or car swap as you wish, new rules or otherwise.
Now, speaking of DEI, we're riding with the other side of the spectrum, Dale Earnhardt Jr. You hear him telling his crew chief, Pete Rundo, I'm real loose in the corner. And you can go nowhere loose in the corner because it messes the whole corner up. Remember, he started in 35th. He's 29th, but he's only about 7 or 8 seconds from being lapped by our leader, Jimmy Johnson.
And he's not the only one in dire straits. Rusty Wallace only about 5.5 seconds from going a lap down to the leaders.
I think Rusty got taken by surprise. Looked like they came on pit road and didn't realize they had as much damage to the left side of the car as he actually had.
NASCAR's brightest new star, Carl Edwards, won here yesterday from the pole, did a backflip at the start-finish line. At the finish, is he on a roll, Steve?
He sure is, Mike, and he's got an important family tie in this sport. His father and Nextel Cup veteran Kenny Schrader are cousins. When Carl was 16, he moved from Missouri to Concord, North Carolina to work as a volunteer in Kenny Schrader's shop. Carl told me this morning it was an entire month before Schrader sat him down and said, son, what is it that you want to do here? He said, well, Schrader, I'm here to drive your ARCA car. Schrader said, you absolutely are not. You're going to go back to Missouri. You're going to beg somebody to drive a dirt car, and that's where you're going to get experience. Carl said he wasn't very happy about it at the time, but that's what he did. He went back to Missouri, got in a dirt car. 3 years later, there was a big race in Moberly, Missouri. Kenny Schrader was there. Danny Lasowski was there. Carl Edwards beat them all. And that was a big turning point in his racing career. He gives Kenny Schrader a lot of credit. Jeannie?
Well, Joe Nemechek came into 2005 telling everyone he really had to curb his enthusiasm because he was so excited about the season. We talked about it in pre-race, some of the mishaps that have happened. In football terms, Joe said we have had flashes of a great offense, but have had too many turnovers. We squandered a couple of great opportunities, but this is a resilient team, and we are going to bounce back. Right now, he's bouncing around a little bit, a little too tight from the middle of the turns off. Can't wait for the pit stop to make the adjustments. Matt?
Halfway through this run, the last time by, that's what Tommy Baldwin told his driver, Casey Kane. Casey said, what was my lap time the last time by? I changed up my line down in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 just to see if it would help. Tommy told him the time. He says, all right, I'll try something else. The car a little on the tight side, but Tommy says, that's a lot better than being loose.
Another fellow who usually runs well here at Atlanta, in fact, almost won a race here at Atlanta, is Dave Blaney. And he's having a good day.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be carrying the Richard Childress banner because he started back in 27th, and now he's in the top 10 in that 07 car in 10th. But how about the car right behind him? Kurt Buschton, the 97 car, our current champion. He restarted this race back on lap 5, back in 35th position, and he's up to 11th. This team right here is one of the reasons I keep getting on my high horse saying, if NASCAR is not a team sport, there's never been a team sport. Remember, during that red flag, he was on pit road with the left front completely torn up. Remember what this team did in those final 10 races, repairing fenders and responding to problems this team had. And there he is, knocking on the door of the top 10.
10 finishes in the last 11 races last year. But Dick Berggren, how about Dave Blaney in that Snap-on Chevy?
Yeah, he's having a pretty decent day, Mike, but he called to his crew and told them on the radio that the car is tight everywhere. And I certainly think that, yeah, Busch is going by him right now, but I certainly think that he must love this place because back in March 01, he led 70 laps, looked as if he was going to win the race before a hub failed and he had to go to the pits. To Matt.
Dick, Atlanta was the only race in the chase last fall that the 97 team did not score a top 10 finish. They feel like they have caught a huge break. Kurt said the toe was fine, the steering wheel was straight. They made the changes to that left front corner, putting a piece of aluminum right below the headlight area to try to piece together the broken sheet metal there at the seams. And right now, he says the car, very good. You can see him hugging the bottom, trying to chase down the 15 of Michael Waltrip.
That'll be for 9th place. Meanwhile, the leader is in heavy traffic. Jimmy Johnson has just lapped a couple cars, and now he's coming up on Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, and he's got to keep pushing it because he's got Carl Edwards breathing down his back bumper there. So he's got to keep going. He can't take too much time or get by these guys.
Now those 3 cars, Mike and Rusty Wallace, were running with Jimmy Spencer side by side a lap ago. So fortunately for the leaders, They've gone single file, but as Jimmy Johnson has to pick his way through, Carl Edwards ready to pounce.
Carl Edwards, the 99 car, his car is so strong, exactly where his Busch car was. Watch him turn it to the bottom, almost on the white line, and right there he's able to pick that throttle up and drive off the corner, all the way around the bottom.
I don't believe any driver has ever won the Busch and the Cup race at Atlanta on the same weekend. Yet. We listened in on Carl Edwards.
Carl not saying much.
Think the free on the throttle needs to be addressed if we're going to take air out. I think I can go fast if it's much freer on the throttle, is what I'm saying.
So what that means is when he's got the wheels turned to the left and he's back in the gas, the front end's not digging quite enough for him. He'd like to get that front end down in the racetrack a little bit more.
But what they have to be careful, they don't want to get him loose. We've been seeing how cars that are loose are going backwards.
38 laps complete in the Golden Corral 500. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
The Golden Corral 500, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, and proud sponsors of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. As we take a look, you can participate in our next poll for a chance to drive away in your own 31 car. The singular results asking about, and most of you spoke and said it was the crew problem with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who currently is running 28th and trying to avoid going a lap down. He came in 27th in points. He stands there currently at the moment.
Not looking too good for those guys right now. They really need a caution to try to work on that race car so they can get it adjusted where maybe he can get up there and get up through the ranks and dig himself out of this hole he's found himself in right now.
The leader, the first lead change, last week's winner, Jimmy Johnson, keeping his streak alive in every race this season, having a lead. Johnson getting past pole sitter Ryan Newman, who led the first 5 laps.
Right now we got, sitting right there. That's Joe Nemechek's son. It looks like John Hunter right there. He's keeping a close watch on his dad, timing him.
Future crew chief, we should say, for the U.S. Army. I want it with Jimmy Johnson. Again, Chad Knaus, his crew chief, is here in the pits while he is appealing that 2-race suspension.
Yes, he can be here while they're going through appeal. But after Tuesday, there'll be some decisions made by the committee that will review everything, and we'll have a better understanding whether or not they're going to adjust this ruling or not. Every second, look right there, it's Chad right there sitting on top of the pit box just like he was yesterday. He was part of the Busch race also, watching his driver lead this race right now. Looks like the car is still working really well, and as Jimmy pointed out at the beginning of the day, they would love to be able to go ahead and win this race, go through the post-race inspection, and be able to say, look guys, see, we won the race, we didn't have to have anything go wrong, it was a mechanical problem.
All right, Mike Joy, what happened to the 20 car?
That's a good question. As his teammate Bobby Labonte returns to the track after lap 1 crash damage, Tony Stewart is falling through this field like a rock. His last lap, 32.90. That's 0.8 of a second slower than the leaders, and he's lost about 7 positions over the last 3 or 4 laps.
Something's wrong with 97 over here in turn 4. He's coming to pit road. It's wobbling a little bit like it may have a flat tire. Matt.
DW, that's exactly what he's saying on the radio. Right front, possibly down on the 97. Dodged a huge bullet with that crash at the opening of the race, making his way back up through the field to the top 10. The Sharpie guy's on the wall waiting for him to pull to a stop. Scott Ragel, the Jackman, dives around the right side. They pull off. You can see the tire is cut down, the inner liner held up. As they come around and hit the lugs on the left side. We told you earlier, this was the only place in the chase that he did not score a top 10 finish last year, and he's away.
It almost looked like he had made contact with someone with that right front tire as he came down pit road. It had the Goodyear rubbed off of it.
Well, we've got great cameras and replays producers who found us this.
Let's see. This is Joe Nemechek. He's caught.
He was battling Joe for fifth position.
Place. Oh, he didn't make any contact with anything. He just lost it the tire right there.
it was awfully lucky where that happened and he didn't get up in trouble. But let me tell you where his luck may be with him as well, is we're only about 8 to 10 laps from that scheduled green flag pit stop. What they really want, they need this thing so bad, is to run through the course of green flag stops. And you know what? The way he was going with those 4 fresh tires, he probably will be leading this race.
Well, you know what? I looked up in the dictionary, lucky, and it said Kurt Busch.
We talk about comers and goers, Darrell, and at this place, a great example is Tony Stewart. He fell like a stone. Well, he's ratcheted himself back up. He's back up in the top 20, and he now his lap times are only 3/10 off of the leader. So, Dick, what was wrong, if anything?
Well, quite a bit has been wrong. Early on in the race, Mike, he said that the car was tight on entry but was good off. Then later, at about lap 41, about 10 laps ago, he said the more the car goes, the more the back end gives up. The tail end loose for Tony Stewart. That's his problem.
Starting to see some of those green flag start. Here's Bill Elliott in the 91 car, and I talked to a lot of the Dodge teams this morning. They felt like they were getting the worst of the fuel mileage of most of the cars. This is a scheduled 4-tire stop, Steve.
And Larry Mack, Bill Elliott, awesome Bill from Dawsonville, saying his car is very, very tight. They're going to make a track bar adjustment 2 rounds up on that 91 car. Chris Andrews, the crew chief on that automobile. 4 tires and a track bar adjustment.
Mike Wallace is in. Jeff Green and Jason Leffler have also already made their green flag stops. Leffler was in about 10 laps ago, a little bit early for the length of this run. There's the Morgan McClure car, the Lucas Oil machine for Mike Wallace. And he comes back out. Michael Waltrip has passed Joe Nemechek, moves him up into the top half dozen.
Car looks like it's pretty good. Michaels does on the long run, and that's what you want here today. Because I don't see any indication of any more caution flags. Things are pretty clean and lean right now.
I mean, looking at the back of Michael Waltrip's 15 car, you could see how much he could pick that throttle up and stay in it as he pulled away from those cars behind him, and he's pretty much still around the bottom of the racetrack.
Matt?
Mike, the big issue for Michael Waltrip, Tony Eury Jr.'s crew chief told me, he has to back off earlier than normal, where he would back off his point where he would get out of the throttle on entry into the corner because the car is so loose. But he is great from the center up off the corner, and you can see that on the video.
Thanks, Matt. Pit stops. Jamie McMurray is in. Greg Biffle is in, and Casey Kane. Dick?
Well, Biffle is in, and this pit stop had been planned for about 5 or 6 laps. They knew right when they wanted to bring him in. Biffle with a very good race car today. No major changes. He had been running in 3rd position prior to this pit stop. Never won here in the Cup Series, but he does have 1 Busch race. To Matt.
And the 9 of Casey Kane and 6 of Mark Martin on pit road. Look for a chassis adjustment for Kane. A little on the tight side. You can see the wrench going in the back window for Kane. Krushek and Odell hit the lugs on the left side as Mark Martin is in. Mark, car was pretty good. He said just a little on the loose side as the 9 is away. Mark Martin's service also complete.
Mayfield, Nemechek, Sadler, Elliott Sadler, along with Scott Briggs now on pit road, and the 50 of Jimmy Spencer. Jeannie?
Looking at the 01 of Joe Nemechek, he had a vibration in the car, guys. So he decided, he was going to wait a couple laps, but I might as well come in, get this taken care of, getting the fuel, getting the 4 tires, and they're going to free this car up just a little bit, and anxiously awaiting the arrival of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Dick?
Tony Stewart in his pit area. They have pulled the rubber out of the right rear. That hopefully will cure his chassis problems. Jody Fortson, hit by a tire last week, is on duty. To Steve.
Carl Edwards in the 99 said he was losing grip, especially when he got on the throttle. They'll put on 4 tires. They have dropped the air pressures on the left side for Carl Edwards. Long stop, having trouble getting it full. Matt?
No grip on the racetrack for the 12 of Ryan Newman. They made a wedge adjustment and tried to fix that tightness with an air pressure adjustment for Ryan Newman. Big weekend for owner Roger Penske. Yesterday, he scored his 250th win as a car owner in auto racing, when this Penske IRL cars finished 1-2. Helio Castro-Neves finished 2nd, and Sam Hornish took home the victory at Phoenix. Michael Waltrip, guys, up on the wall, waiting for the 15 car to come to a stop. He hits the signboard. You can see they're going to make a chassis adjustment. Wedge and track bar. Track bar already complete. Wedge already complete. Michael loose on entry. A solid stop so far, and he is down and away.
It'll be easier to give you the drivers who have not stopped. They are Jimmy Johnson, Dave Blaney, Dale Jarrett, and Ricky Rudd, Casey Mears, Kevin Harvick, Brian Vickers, and Sterling Marlin and Mike Bliss. So Bliss is in, Marlin's in, here comes Johnson.
My big question, this is the first green flag stop. We've been seeing it every race. Will these guys dodge the pit road speeding penalty that we've been seeing time and time again?
Jeannie and Jimmy Johnson's been.
Well, we have been talking all day about the Cup drivers involved in the Busch races, and that includes Jimmy Johnson. The big thing he took out, get fresh tires, new tires, stickers whenever you can, whenever it's possible, and that's what he will get. 4 tires, fuel. Car's been running pretty good, just a little bit snug, so we'll try to free him up.
Rusty Wallace suffered damage on that lap 1 accident. They actually had to get on pit road and take the battery to the battery compartment. So, as Darrell said earlier, a lot of damage to the left side of that number 2 car.
One driver who has not stopped is rookie Kyle Busch. In a backup car after a qualifying crash. He can't hear his crew on the radio. They asked NASCAR to black flag him and get him in for fuel.
And just remember, that's a backup car that they had no track time with after crashing in qualifying the other night. Dale Jarrett, the 88 car, the UPS car, he has inherited the lead. I would anticipate he'll be coming to pit road here pretty quick, though, maybe even this time. Looks like so. Green flag stops.
Dave Blaney led a lap. He's now in along with Brian Vickers. And here comes Jarrett, as you predicted. Ricky Rudd had the chance to lead a lap, but rather than run out of gas, he and the Wood brothers take service. Oh boy, Dale Jr. Too fast, exiting the pits. He nabbed by the electronic timing system, and he will get a pass through the pit penalty.
I know Dale Jr. is a cool character, but I think some of that frustration of just not running well and things not going right, that's what creates situations like that. The driver tries to make up for all the other problems.
Can you do this, Larry, without losing a lap?
No, I think you will come close to losing another lap. And remember, he does not have to stop in his pit box, but he has to just come down pit road to pass through at 45 miles per hour. But guess who has inherited the lead now that we've cycled through? Greg Biffle in the 16 car. But remember, he was one of the cars that hit pit road the earliest to take advantage of those 4 fresh tires.
Dale Jarrett, too fast entering pit road. As we told you in Daytona, the old method of timing the cars with stopwatches in segments. The drivers wanted a more accurate system. They have it. So Jarrett and Earnhardt have both been gigged for too fast on pit road. It's a drive-through penalty at pit road speed.
And those are the areas where you make up time under the old system. Getting on pit road and getting off pit road. Those last pit boxes and the first one coming in, you could push the envelope a little bit right there and get away with it.
Let's get an update on tire wear. Here's Jeannie.
Oh boy, talk about someone who was pushing the envelope and feeling pretty lucky right now. That would be the 01 of Joe Nemechek. What you're looking at here are the front tires, the right side and the left side, and you can see some serious tire wear. They're feeling, as I said, pretty lucky in this pit right now that they escaped what could potentially have been a problem. As I mentioned, he pitted a little early because of vibration, and now we know why.
We got a battle right here. Now, this will be for the 3rd position. Carl Edwards in the 99, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, but looks like Carl Edwards will get trapped behind Robbie Gordon in that 7 car, and Jimmy Johnson to take the position.
They work past Kevin LePage.
I tell you, I think Carl Edwards is all he's trying to do right now is keep Jimmy Johnson in his sights. After yesterday's race, I think he knows that's the guy he's got to beat.
And this is our leader, Greg Biffle in the 16 car, sandwiched between 2 cars, trying to get back on the lead lap. Jason Leffler in the 11 and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8.
And things have gone from bad to worse for the 8s team. On the pace laps, they split the field in half. They use 2 pace vehicles so that each driver can match up his pit road speed to an engine RPM. Apparently that calculation didn't work in Dale Jarrett's case while serving his penalty pass through. He was too fast. "67 laps complete at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Greg Biffle in front of Kurt Busch by 3.7 seconds.
It's all on Fox, and it's NASCAR, and it's Fox.
Rocking and rolling in the record here on Fox. Nice to have you with us from Atlanta. Greg Biffle, your leader. Jimmy Johnson currently second, but has led most of the way. And on the first lap, 4 former champions involved in the wreck, including Jeff Gordon, who is now back on the track, but it put drivers like Matt Kenseth and Bobby Labonte in trouble. Carl Edwards, who won the Busch race yesterday, currently running 4th. Jeff Hammond having some problems in the pits, and you got to be a kind of a circus performer sometimes to get things done when guys pull in there.
Well, let's not really call it problems right now, but when you come down pit road, you're only allowed to have 7 men over the wall. So when Carl came down, there were a lot of things that needed to be done to the car, and what they wound up doing was really putting the burden on one man to do like 3 jobs. So as he comes off and comes into his pit, you notice everybody goes to the right side. Well, pay attention. There's the gas man back there, Joe Krasinski, and he pulls the windshield tear off, makes the chassis adjustment. Then he said, oh, yeah, by the way, I got to finish gassing the car. So he runs back over. He hooks up to finish fueling the rest of the race car, but the pit stop was just a little bit slow. He had too many things to do, but they got it all completed, and he's still running forward. And I say, man, that wasn't too good.
That's all right, Joe.
Frustration.
I think the other guy should maybe kick in a little, help him out. He did the work of 5 other guys.
I'm telling you right now, one-man band.
Meanwhile, Carl Edwards hanging in there 4th. Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch currently running 3rd. And Jeff Gordon back in the race after being involved in that 9-car wreck earlier that involved a number of headliners.
Yeah, he's 72 laps down, but Robbie Loomis and Jeff all realize that you've got to get these valuable points. We've got to go out there and just do the best we can. We still got a long ways to go. And, I mean, got almost 249 laps more to go, so a lot of things can happen, and they realize every point counts right now.
All right, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front of Sterling Marlin. And, you know, it's worth pointing out Jimmy Johnson, who has led the most laps so far, currently running 2nd as Greg Biffle.
Yeah, he's trying to put a lap right now on Sterling Marlin running the 17th. And, you know, he's just on a rail right now. I mean, he's got that number 16 car right down on that line where you want it to be, and he's just motoring through this field.
And Jimmy Johnson competing in the same chassis, the car that won the Atlanta race last fall in both races here at Lowe's Motor Speedway last year.
We've really got a really good battle right there. We see the 9 car right in behind Tony Stewart there in the 1640 car. I mean, they don't want to roll over and play dead for sure.
Casey Kane, the only Dodge in the top 10, running 5th. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum.
And Casey Kane running in the 5th position now. Moments ago, Ray Evernham, the car owner, was looking at the tires that came off Casey Kane's car. Now the right side showing considerable wear, but very similar conditions to the tires that came off Michael Waltrip's car as well, and a few other teams on my end of pit road. So we talked at the beginning of the show about tire wear, showing a lot of it here at Atlanta, and the teams are seeing that now. The 97 car of Kurt Busch running 3rd. His car is tight again. Remember, he pitted Mike Joy back on lap 51 with a flat right front.
So Busch 3rd behind his teammate Greg Biffle, in front of teammate Carl Edwards, with Jimmy Johnson in between. A final note on that Carl Edwards stop. The gas man, isn't he really, Larry, the only man on the crew that has freedom of movement? Everyone else's movements is dictated by the man next to him or the man he's working with. Who else could run around and do that?
Yeah, I mean, the other guys that are there, basically the 2 tire changers, the Jackman 2 tire carriers, they have something going on the entire stop. The gas man, you know, he has a little bit of liberty there, but I think what caught him off guard just a little bit, remember, that was a green flag stop. He almost had to dump that entire 22 gallons of fuel in before they let him go.
It just seems like real good management to me. He got so many people, got so many things he got to get done, and I like the way they orchestrated that whole deal.
For a final word on this, let's go to Steve in Carl's pit.
And Mike, that didn't rattle Carl Edwards at all. In fact, he just radioed crew chief Bob Osborne and said the car's real good, still just a little bit tight. And they've been reminding Carl, including spotter Bobby Hudson from the beginning of this race, as he goes by the 97 of Busch, take care of your equipment. We're going to race hard with 50 to go. Just be patient, reinforcing that virtue to young Carl Edwards, just 25 years old.
Well, it was a plan that got him to victory lane yesterday here in Atlanta.
I'd like to know what the definition of patience would be to a young guy like Carl Edwards, 25 years old, with all the enthusiasm he has. I'm sure it wouldn't be the same as it would be for someone like me.
We just watched Greg Biffle in the 16 car put Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car another lap down. He is now 2 laps down, and we're not even a third of the way through this race. tell you another car that's having a good run, needed a good run, not a great qualifying run on Friday night, started back in 31st. Ricky Rudd in the 21 car. He is up to the 12th position. He finally has his crew chief back, Michael Fatback McSwain. He's been recovering from back surgery. This car has been involved in 3 wrecks in the first 3 races of 2005, and none of them were of his making. So good to see this car. They just want to see the checkered flag besides being in the garage area.
Rudd right now is 12th. There are 15 cars on the lead lap. The last of those is Brian Vickers, who had a small role in the first lap, got caught up a little bit in that what preceded the first lap accident, and he's about 3 seconds from going a lap down as you watch Jamie McMurray and Kevin Harvick battle along with Mike Bliss. This is at 19th place.
Over the caution.
Debris going into turn 1 in the quad oval, the dog leg here between the start finish line and the first corners.
And I think who that's going to really benefit, a man that was running pretty good at the beginning of the race, the 20 car, Tony Stewart, because he had went a lap down. He should get this free pass. That'll be a big break for Tony and that 20 group. Big break for a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Now we can make some chassis adjustments.
Dale Jr. just went 2 laps now.
Yeah, not a good break for him.
Jeff Burton, Casey Mears, and Brian Vickers were at the tail end of the lead lap, and so they get a reprieve due to the caution flag. Everyone pulls up behind the pace truck. There's the Victory Junction gang cam on board the Brawny Dodge of Kyle Petty.
Look how many tear-offs they had on that windshield. That's what all those tie wraps were. Just look at them right there. That is all tear-offs, and that's just something rather than try to pull a tab, they can just hook their finger in a tie wrap and pull them off.
The reason that we're seeing a lot more tear-offs and we're seeing them on the front of other race cars is because these tires are wearing so much more than they did last year. They're getting a lot more rubber on the racetrack. That rubber is ending up on the windshields and on the hoods and the roofs of the cars. You'll see a lot of black marks on the cars as we go through the race today.
And Darrell, even though it's become a little bit overcast here, this is probably one of the worst racetracks in the world late in the afternoon driving off into turn 1 with the sun.
Greg Biffle will head for Doug Rickert and lead everybody down pit road. Dick?
And he has got a terrific race car, Mike. The only change they're going to make to this car besides 4 tires and fuel, they're going to put a half a round of wedge in the left rear. That'll add just a little tiny bit of weight to the left rear tire, help the back end of the car stick to the racetrack a little bit better. The pit crew has been stellar all year long. There goes the half round in to Jeannie.
Jimmy Johnson telling his crew chief, Chad Knaus, that the car is turning good and comfortable, but he needs a little bit of help in the center of the turn and off. So the plan here is to raise the track bar, make a slight air pressure adjustment, and he's off. Steve?
JD Carl Edwards saying the 99 is very comfortable. They just dropped left side air pressures a quarter pound.
The 97 is in. Kurt Busch, they're going to make a return visit. A lot of conversation. Close call between the 9 of Kane and the 6 of Martin. Look for the 97 to make a return visit. They want to take full advantage of this caution to fix that left front fender. That brace is broken. It's pushing that valence back, and they feel like the car's running great considering the cosmetic damage, but they feel like, hey, it's better to be at the end of 20 cars than 42. They're going to take advantage of this caution.
You saw right there, though, Ricky Rudd, the 21 car, they were the real winner on pit road, gained 4 spots with that pit stop. So when your car's working good, your pit crew works good. There you see it right there, Ricky Rudd gained 4 spots. A lot of teams like Joe Nemechek, Mark Martin, Michael Waltrip gaining 2, and right there, if you notice, Greg Biffle in the 16, he had one of the fastest pit stops as far as pit road time.
You saw the red light on Casey Kane, not his fault. He had to swing wide around Michael Waltrip, who left his tail hanging out on the edge of pit road there. Coming down to the green flag for the restart to begin lap 90. Greg Biffle brings Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Joe Nemechek, and Mark Martin on the outside of the lapped cars. Kurt Busch made a late stop for cosmetic and aero adjustment to that left front fender, so he's tail end Charlie along with Tony Stewart, who got the free pass.
Look at these guys. They're already 3 wide coming off turn 2 down the back straightaway. Ryan Newman in the 12 car there trying to get up there to be the first car a lap down where maybe he can get the free pass should we get another caution.
And Dale Jr. up high, 2 laps down. A drive-through pit penalty caused one of them. And for the lead, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle going at it. Looks a lot like yesterday with Carl Edwards right there with him.
Yeah, it's like Jimmy Johnson in the 48 saying, look, you stole my thunder. You came to pit road a little early under green a while ago and got those tires. I want this lead back here side by side that time past the start-finish line.
6th lead change of the day. Kurt Busch has got to fight his way up from the back. Let's hear what he had to say prior to, excuse me, let's hear what Carl Edwards had to say prior to his pit stop. Okay, let's hear from Kurt.
So we want to hear from to begin with.
I'd rather try to fix this thing early on. I think we're abusing the right front. The only way to fix that is go to the back of this pack and put a brace in there to keep it kicked out. I mean, it stops right there. So you leave it and just adjust on it. I think there's probably only about, what, 20 cars on the lead lap now? Okay, but you know this will put you to the back because we got to take the tire off and put a brace on there. Said 4, but it'll put us to the back of 20 cars instead of 42.
I think that was the key. How many cars were on the lead lap? That we're not like we had 30 or 40 cars. We only had 19 or 20.
And I love it when the driver has that kind of input back into what they need to do. He helps the crew chief so much when he's thinking about where he's going to be and what needs to be done. If you keep the driver and the crew chief working together, that's going to make the end result a whole lot better.
7 lead changes once we got racing after the lap 1 crash that involved 7 cars. A short caution for debris allowed everybody to pit. And now we're back under green with Jimmy Johnson leading Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, Joe Nemechek, and Mark Martin.
The Golden Corral 500 on Fox, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by the new Singular, raising the bar. By Levitra, ask your doctor about it today. Levitra, when it counts. By Napa Auto Parts, get the good stuff. And by FedEx, proud sponsor of the number 11 car. So Kurt Busch currently running 16th as you get a look from the FedEx car. Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds was talking about the decision, the communication, obviously. That happened, I would imagine, at least the problems with the 97 car and that initial first lap wreck when his car was just slightly grazed.
Yeah, when it's slightly grazed, but still the damage. And you see and you hear him talking about how critical that is. They needed to fix it so they could really get serious about making their chassis adjustments. You know, we laugh a lot of times about telling the driver to shut up and drive, but that communication, being able to get that information back and forth and making sure you make the right decisions is the key to having a successful race team. And right now, Jimmy Fennick and Kurt Busch are on the same page.
Jeff Burton, Richard Childers racing up to 11th. He was involved, narrowly escaping a major wreck, the part of that, but certainly was involved in that first lap pileup.
Yeah, he just barely got through there, but he's done a really good job as far as working his way up through the pack today. And it's just good to see him back and being competitive.
Now, what are you telling if you're one of those drivers who is a lap down or 2 laps down, as we got to look with Dale Jarrett on board UPS? What are you telling your driver?
Well, right now, Jeremy Mayfield is the guy that's 1 lap down, and he's in the best position in case the caution does come out. You want to let him know what he needs to do. Keep the 12 car behind you. You just need to hang there with the leaders. Try not to abuse your tires. You're in a good position. Caution comes back out. We're going to get an opportunity to move our way back up. We still got a lot of racing to go. You can't quit. You got to figure out strategies to fight your way back up on that lead lap and give your team an opportunity to score points.
And to fight, you need to communicate well. Kyle Busch in the 5 car having some communication problems with his crew, and Matt Yoakum has the latest. Matt?
Caution was a big break for Kyle Busch. His team was back to the old-fashioned way of communication, doing hand signals, sticking his hand out the window if he was loose on entry or up on the roof, loose on exit. Now, during this caution, they switched out. They diagnosed it was his radio push-to-talk button, something broken, possibly in the wiring. This wraps around the steering column, bolts to one of the spokes in the steering wheel. They changed that out, and now communication is back like it should be on the 5 car. Kyle Busch running in the 25th position.
Still a nice comeback after a qualifying crash here on Friday night. He did not get the post to time and had to start based on car owner points. That's Kyle Petty. And you see on one of the steering wheel spokes the radio button there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, right there is the radio button. Kyle looks pretty comfortable in his car. He's not. You see his arm. He's not straining. He's just pretty comfortable. He's working the steering wheel a little bit, getting the car to go through the corner the way he wants it to. But he looks pretty comfortable. You can see he kind of got a relaxed grip on the steering wheel. Kind of got our own cruise control.
10th place. Scott Riggs trying to hold Michael Waltrip, who once again is marching his Napa Chevy toward the front.
Still around the bottom of the racetrack where he's been the entire 101 laps.
Where I don't think he's ever been his whole career here, Darrell. He likes to rim ride here.
Well, he likes that car, I guess, and it's a hook in the bottom for him. It looks like it's good on the long run. He seems to fall back a little on the restarts, but then as they run along and the tires start to wear a little bit, that car really gets better for him.
And I know he's on fairly fresh tires, but Darrell, what I'm impressed with, when he picks that throttle up, just listening to the engine, he's able to stay in it. He's not having to feather it and play with it.
And he's racing Scott Riggs right there, and Scott's on another good run today. He's running 10th, and he's quietly going about his business.
And I know he's happy with this run because he missed the show here, Scott Riggs in the 10 in the fall.
Waltrip completes the pass. And again, this is really out of character.
So he's outside for now.
Really out of character for Michael.
You'll be clear when you get.
Since Harry Gant retired, Michael had always been the first driver to find the top lane of the racetrack here.
Harry was high, wide, and handsome.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you who's made another great recovery. Jeff Burton in that 31 car. Started back in 38. Remember, he was involved slightly in that crash back on the backstretch on lap 1. And now he's up there battling for the 10th position with Scott Riggs in the 10. Good recovery for Kevin Hamlin, Jeff Burton. Remember that great finish back in 2001 for Dale Earnhardt? With Kevin Harvick driving for Dale Earnhardt, this crew chief for this car, Kevin Hamlin, was the crew chief.
Another nice recovery for the driver who got loose off turn 2. And again, Casey Mears' spin was what triggered that big wreck on lap 1. We have been unable to confirm whether or not there was contact between the 41 of Mears, the Nicorette Dodge, and Scott Riggs to initiate that, or whether Mears just got loose, as one driver who drove through it told us.
Yeah, that 41 car. Now, just remember, I think it was about a year ago here, he had a car that could have won this race, and he had an engine failure right near the end of the day. Otherwise, he may have been in victory circle. Take a look back at earlier today and show you what happened. Contact there off of turn 2, and somehow, some way, I got to believe that had an effect on what happened behind those 2 cars that made contact. I'm not sure what happened. 10 looks like he may have gotten into 41, but it's hard to tell.
Now we've completed 106 laps. Jimmy Johnson leading Greg Biffle by just a couple car lengths.
Happy Palm Sunday here from all of us at Fox from Atlanta. Here's a look at the Coca-Cola Racing family in today's race. It's also the first day of spring, and right now Jimmy Johnson your leader, but Greg Biffle running second. We followed Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart, some of their story throughout the afternoon. We've gone through 112 laps with 213 to go here in the Golden Corral 500. And you know, I was watching the movie Moses the other night, and I looked for Dick Berggren in the background. Actually, he was fixing the 3-chariot wheel. And Dick Berggren has the latest on Greg Biffle currently running second. Dick?
Now, Chris, didn't your therapist tell you to stop that stuff, that your ego isn't going to be any more better by picking on me? Anyway, Biffle has had a terrific run. His crew chief, Doug Richard, has been calling out the lap times to him until he got right behind the number 48, Jimmy Johnson. He just called on the radio, Biffle did, and said, I have never had so much fun in my life. A few laps ago, as he came by his pit, Biffle let out a war whoop and said, so much grip, it's awesome. Steve?
Well, Carl Edwards also having a good day. Dick, he's just told his crew chief, Bob Osborne, his car is just a little bit free in the center, but he said a few laps ago he had buzzed his tires, so he's just going to back off just a hair. Also asking spotter Bobby Hudson what sort of lines the other guys are running. Hudson replied that the 01 of Joe Nemechek was running a high. Carl said, I'm too free up high. We'll work on that on our next stop.
There is Edwards in third behind Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle. To give you an idea what tires are worth, Brian Vickers just made a green flag pit stop. came back out on track and is running 0.4 of a second faster than this man, his teammate, your leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, that is just, it's a little bit early on this stop right here. We anticipate that probably maybe he had a vibration or something. But yeah, it's worth a lot.
I think if I was struggling, Larry, I'd be doing some short pitting because tires do make such a big difference.
Now here's Vickers, we just spoke of. He has new tires, 160 miles an hour, 162 in the middle of the corner. What does that translate to? How about 260 some feet per second?
That's almost a football field.
Oh, got a car smoking down in turn 1.
Mike Wallace.
Car's been running pretty badly.
Remember Wallace.
Wallace comes on to pit road. I'm sorry, we were talking about Brian, and we're going to get a caution.
Yeah, the 4 car is putting out quite a bit of smoke, and I'm sure he must put out some debris. He's been running on 7 cylinders. Here and go by and making quite a bit of noise.
And he lost an engine on Friday. That's the reason he had to go to the rear of the field. I think this caution will be a huge break for Jeremy Mayfield, the 19 car. He will get the free pass.
What do you think? Yeah, 10-4.
Now, we mentioned Brian Vickers coming in early. He had a vibration.
It felt like we took grip onto the back, but it felt like the front just wasn't gripping as good. So, yeah, just to go a little bit, just what you're talking about.
Yeah, obviously that caution was a big break for Jeremy Mayfield. We just mentioned about him getting the free pass, but Brian Vickers is the guy that did not want to see that caution because he is now a lap down.
So when we restart, there'll be 16 cars on the lead lap with the addition of Mayfield.
It's when you know, when things like that happen, you always say, man, how unlucky can I be? Make a pit stop and a dead gum caution comes out.
Pit road will be very busy with these 15 or 16 cars. Dick Berggren, I'm sure 4 tires and more adjustments.
Well, no adjustments at all for Biffle. He likes the cars so much, all they're going to do is put 4 tires on it, same air pressure, no wrenches in the back of this car. He has got a real weapon today. To Jeannie.
Well, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson still a little snug in the center. It actually just started again, though he's hoping the air pressure adjustment will free the car up, Steve.
Just a quarter round of bite in the left rear for Carl Edwards. Just a little bit free. 4 tires. Good consistent stop for the 99. Matt?
The 6 car, Mark Martin. Best car here last fall. Didn't get the victory. Losing a little bit of time on the left rear, but they said the car was free most of the day. It had snugged up. They made a track bar adjustment to try to tighten him up a little more. Track bar also for the 9 of Casey Kane.
There you see the race off pit road. Mark Martin, good top 5 run. Those guys gained 2 positions, as well as Elliott Sadler in the 38 group and Jeff Burton in the 31.
I think the reason the 48 car lost that one spot, Larry, is they had a tire laying in front of the car, and when the right front tire changer and the jackman went around to the left side, they had to jump the tire to get to the other side of the car. Hurt them just a little bit. Here they come. You see the tire, I think, throws his tire out here in front of the car right there. Couldn't go any worse. Now see, he's hung up, he's falling.
It really hurt the jackman. Really hurt him getting around the car. And I mean, you're not talking about maybe a half a second, but when you're changing 4 tires, dumping this fuel in 13 to 14 seconds, huge difference.
Don't want to lose the lead in the pits.
That's a happy group there. That's right, Doug. Pump them up. Got a long way to go, buddy.
The Golden Corral 500, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by Ford. The next Ford Super Duty. Tougher, stronger, smarter. By Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. By America Online. Want a better internet? You belong at America Online. And by Win Fuel. It's all about winning. Carl Edwards currently 4th today. Yesterday ran in the Busch race, was on the pole, led the first 29 laps, fell back, and then had to work his way back up through the field. Carl Edwards did it like Michael Vick, working through a defense here in Atlanta. And the 25-year-old from Columbia, Missouri, pulled into victory lane with his first ever Busch Series win. Did the famous backflip in his victorious move.
This is unbelievable. I got to thank a lot of people. This is the biggest win of my career, first Busch win. Thanks Charter, first of all. Oh man, Roush Racing, Jack Roush, Brad Parrott, my whole crew. This is awesome to win from the pole and to come out here and race with guys like Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson, they're unbelievable. So this is the biggest win of my career.
$1 million smile worth flipping over. Carl Edwards and Ford built for the road ahead. His road ahead filled with a lot of optimism. Now in the 99 car in today's Cup race, currently running fourth behind another Ford and Greg Biffle. Mark Martin is third, Jimmy Johnson second. We're getting ready to go green. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Carl Edwards' road ahead is filled with 2 Fords, teammates of his, and a Chevrolet, as the Roush contingent owns 3 of the front 4 spots as we go back to green to start lap 123. What do you say, Larry?
I'd say grab those knobs, throw them all away, and let's crank it up.
On the high side, Edwards third and gunning for second.
Blue car back there, that's 6 car, Mark Martin. That seems like he keeps getting stronger and stronger as this race goes on. He's going to be up there battling his teammate Carl Edwards in the 99.
Yeah, this is the best track position Mark has had. He's been barred back in about 7th, 8th, 9th place. He's up there in clean air now, pretty clean anyway.
That battle right behind him, Jamie McMurray in the 42 and Bobby Hamilton in the 32 on the low side or outside pole sitter. That's the battle to be the first car a lap down to hopefully get a free pass. There you see them side by side right there.
Here's Matt.
And Mark Martin has 2 wins here, chasing a third now. This team trying to stay ahead of the racetrack. They went back and forth debating whether to make the track bar adjustment or not, even though the car had started to snug up. Mark said, let's use this run as an experiment for later to see how much this track and this car tighten up on this run so we can plan ahead to the finish.
One car that shot forward on that restart was Tony Stewart. Right now he's in a big pack of traffic just ahead with Kevin Harvick just behind, but Stewart has climbed up into the top dozen, battling Jeff Burton for position and trying to gain on Blaney.
Now remember, when this race started today, it was very, very sunny out, and the track temperature was probably a little higher than it is right now, Larry. And that may be why you see some of these guys that were struggling a little bit back in there starting to move forward now.
You just mentioned that you think it's getting a little overcast and cooling down. If you notice, the air temperature has not changed that much, but just look at how much the track has cooled down, and that definitely changes the handling characteristics of these race cars. That's what these teams and crews are trying to keep up with.
When you've got a soft tire like we have here this year, the tires are much happier when the track temperature is lower than what we started to race. So the tires are getting happier, and some of the cars are too.
Right, with Jeff Burton right here, he just got passed by Kurt Busch in that 97 car, and that was a battle for 13th. Kurt struggled a little bit after that last restart after the repairs were made. Looks like maybe they made some more adjustments that gets this car a little better. The amazing thing, guys, is we're not quite halfway. We have 16 cars on the lead lap, but we have 12 cars fighting to get back on the lead lap. It's only 1 lap down.
And one thing I noticed when they repaired the 97 car of Kurt Busch, they had that left front fender way, way out there. So they may have had to come back down pit road and work on that and get it streamlined a little bit better, because that'll make you loose when you get that left front fender out too far.
Matt's been in Kurt's pit.
Mike, Jimmy Finnick told Kurt Busch on the radio, we are done fixing the cosmetic portion of this race car. Now we can just work on the chassis handling. We told you earlier the brace was broken. They have fixed a lot underneath that fender. Now they're just trying to dial him in chassis-wise. He's running in the 13th position.
Running behind Dave Blaney in front of Stewart and Burton.
Well, you think about with the damage he had early on, he started back early in the race in 40th place and marched right up into the top 5. Then they fixed the fender and he struggled a little bit, so maybe they broke it again.
We talked at the top of the day about drivers who competed in yesterday's 312-mile Busch race, and would they have a leg up on the drivers who didn't get any time on the track yesterday. Here's the finish of yesterday's race, the top 10. 9 of those top 10, the first 9 finishers, are also racing today.
Let's give it attaboy, though, to Michel Jourdain Jr. in only his 5th Busch Series start. He was best in class. He probably felt as good as Carl Edwards did.
Yeah, he's a new dad, you know. He's got to step it up now. He's got to take care of the family.
Tell you what, ever since that last restart, that last pit stop, I've been watching Joe Nemechek in his 01 car. He drove by Mark Martin for 4th. Now he just overtook Carl Edwards for the 3rd position in 99.
I think that Joe has got to be so disappointed after that run he had in California. He had the car to beat, and it's good to see him back up there. Got a chance again today, Jeannie.
Absolutely. That's what they're banking on. As I mentioned earlier, Joe said he really felt like this was going to be their weekend, and they tried to foreshadow what was going to happen with the weather here, and that's kind of what we saw at the last pit stop. The car had really tightened up as we watch yet another lead change here today. The 01 tightened up. They gave a track bar adjustment, some air pressure adjustment, again to compensate for what they thought would be the weather change, and it appears to be working, guys.
11th lead change of the day as Greg Biffle drives past Jimmy Johnson.
But he's not ready to give up because Biffle did it on the low side, and then Biffle went to the high side. You can see Jimmy Johnson just peeking to the low side as they came off too.
Nice thing out on the midway here at Atlanta in the Post-it booth, Greg Biffle's sponsor. Folks can write Post-it notes to servicemen abroad. In a co-promotion with the National Guard. Pretty neat deal. As you watch from our Quaker State aerial coverage.
That ride that Hammond and I had this morning in that big old Chinook, coming into the 3rd turn over there, and he banked it in there, you know. I said, whoa, hang on, Hammond. That was quite a ride. That was a thrill right there, boys.
Scott Riggs 8th, and the 9 of Casey Kane 10th. Our pole sitter Ryan Newman in the 12 is a lap down in 22nd. Here's Matt.
Both Riggs and Kane trying to knock down their first Nextel Cup career victory. Now, Scott Riggs says the 10 car has been pretty comfortable most of the day. If anything, a little on the tight side. The last run, he was a little loose on entry, but great from the center off. Meanwhile, Casey Kane in the 9 cars, he's trying to work around the lap car of pole sitter Ryan Newman, whose car has just been bad tight all day long. Now, Kane says his car also, as you see him, motor on the outside, has just gone to the tight side. It will not turn. A rocket ship earlier in the race, battling an ill-handling car now.
Well, Darrell had talked about it. I think it's because basically the racetrack has changed.
Yeah, you know, a guy that's, well, you can see where the Chargers are running right there.
3 of them on the lead lap, Darrell.
The guy that's running a pretty darn good race is Mr. Combo right there. He's in 6th place right now. Elliott Sadler quietly been in the top 10, and a lot like Mark Martin. Looks like his car has gotten much better with this overcast condition.
We've been seeing it all year long, guys. A lot because, I think, of the package these cars have, and a lot because of the weather changing, comers and goers, and we're seeing it here again today.
I just believe a lot of it has to do with, and I only other term I know, you make your tires mad, you don't handle, your car doesn't handle so good. You make your tires happy, you make your car handle good, you seem to go forward.
Carl Edwards has drawn a bead on Joe Nemechek, trying to get 3rd place back. Now they have now fallen 3.5 seconds behind race leader Greg Biffle. So we'll see if Carl's content to ride a while, see if they can make up a little bit of that, or if he's going to go back after Nemechek.
I just get this sense, based on what I saw yesterday with Carl Edwards, I just get the feeling that he's saying, look, I'm learning a lot following guys like Jimmy Johnson. And I'm looking in my mirror, and I got Mark Martin coming up behind me. These guys are pretty darn smart. They've won a lot of races. I think I'll go to school.
And as you said, overheating those tires is like overcooking a steak. You can't get it back.
No. It is what it is.
These two guys been going at each other for about the last 15 or 20 laps. We're riding with Michael Waltrip in the 15, looking back at Dave Blaney in the 07. These guys have been battling for 11th for a number of laps. But good runs for both these guys.
And Michael doesn't seem to be, you know, he's been up in the top 5 or 6, and all of a sudden he doesn't seem to be quite as good as he was earlier.
We're 23 laps from halfway in the Golden Corral 500, presented on Fox by M3 Power from Gillette.
Welcome back. Don't forget to check out NASCAR Nation this week and every week, Monday through Friday. It's on Speed, a behind-the-scenes look. Get to know the drivers and more about America's fastest-growing sport, NASCAR Nation. Check for local listings and times in your area. Greg Biffle leading with 179 laps to go, taking the lead for the third time earlier today. Jimmy Johnson running second, Carl Edwards third. Those Roush cars, 3 in the top 5 in points coming into the race today and holding their own here.
Well, you got to believe right now, Carl Edwards won that race yesterday. How much information did they transfer to today's race? Because all these cars seem like they're just working so flawlessly, and they're working good on long runs as well as the short runs. These cars are just extremely good, and as a group, as we see Carl Edwards right there, yesterday's winner in the Busch race, they make it look so easy. You got the veteran Mark Martin right there just kind of following the young rookie right there in 4th place. And it's just good to see all of them there just very patiently working on their cars and thinking about, hey, with 50 laps to go, we're really going to cock the hammer and let these guys get after it.
All right, let's get back to Carl Edwards and Steve Burns with a report on the 99 car. Steve?
Well, Chris, just a little while ago, Darrell Waltrip talked about making those tires angry. Before the pit stop on lap 118, Carl Edwards told his crew, I buzzed the tires. That was my fault. I'm not going to do that anymore. And as Jeff Hammond said, the game plan here in the 99 camp is take care of the equipment until 50 to go, and then they're going to go strong. JD?
I guess it's a common theme. Everybody worried about their tires. It makes perfect sense. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson coming on the radio a little bit ago and said, look, I'm a little tight. That was shortly, guys, after he gave up the lead. And he said, everything's pretty much okay. I'm just going to ride around for a while, if you don't mind, and try to take care of my stuff and really just watch the tires, what he's talking about. Another Hendrick car, 25, of course, reporting tire problems. He had to come in, and you better believe the 48 crew was making their way down to check out the tires. As it turns out, there was nothing wrong with that tire, and Jimmy would like to keep it that way with his.
Thanks, Jeannie. Green flag stop for Casey Mears. So now we have 15 cars on the lead lap. Let's take you back to the after effect of the lap 1 crash. Out of the race, Mike Garvey, Travis Quaffle, Shane Meal from that one. But look at Bobby Labonte's team left of your screen. A whole new set of front end sheet metal on that car so he can go out and run for points. And Jeff Gordon, 76 laps down, but they've got him back out there at half competitive speed. I mean, better than minimum speed. No way to salvage a good day out of this, but you've got to get what you can get. Gordon has already advanced 2 positions from where he would have been if he stayed in the garage. That's worth 6 Nextel Cup points, and depending on how things fall the rest of the race, might be able to end up with a top 35.
Well, that might be encouraging to some of the other teams because 15 of the last 32 races have been won by Hendrick or Gibbs at this racetrack. Now, that's good news for the Ford guys, except for the fact that Ford has won 1 race here in the last 15. And so with Jimmy Johnson lurking there and the Ford boys running as strong as they are, maybe today's the day to change all that.
And that's a big change, Darrell, because on the old configuration of this race back in the Ned Jarrett days or the Bill Elliott days, this was every bit a Ford racetrack.
But when I think about that 24 car, Jeff Gordon, Robbie Loomis, I mean, what an up and down year already, just 4 races. They win the Daytona 500. They have engine problems at Fontana. They finished 4th last week at Las Vegas, moved to 3rd in points, get involved in a lap 1 crash here. But yeah, you mentioned Casey Mears. Yeah, he was still one of those cars that was on the lead lap in the 41 car. We get in the report. You see him right there. He had a flat tire. The reason he had to make that unscheduled pit stop.
And he's about to fall another lap down. Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, and Joe Nemechek. 153 laps complete.
The Golden Corral 500 on Fox is presented by new M3 Power Nitro from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave.
Kurt Busch has just slammed the wall exiting turn number 2 and brought out the caution.
Yeah, he's already been in the wall here, and the tire's down on the right front. You heard him say earlier that they were abusing that right front a little bit. Man, look at the debris fly.
But the good news is all that debris brought a caution out where they can get to pit road and maybe fix things.
I think he's got to. Oh, goodness gracious, Michael!
Going that way,
squeeze through there. I think they got quite a bit more damage than just that fender.
Matt's there.
that second right front tire that Kurt Busch says he has lost today. They're going to take it behind the wall to make further repairs. Just moments before he hit the wall, he said we're going to make a track bar adjustment, want to go down, and he's also talking about what air pressure adjustment he wanted to make to that right front. But boy, this day has turned ugly with the championship point leader coming in to Atlanta, Kurt Busch.
2 of the top 5 have had trouble. Kurt Busch, the point leader, and Jeff Gordon coming in here 4th, swept up in the lap 1 crash.
You know, Kurt's not going to, he's not going to like coming to Atlanta. You know, last year blew up here and really got him in a dogfight for the championship. Bad luck today again.
Nick Bertrand.
Well, Greg Biffle is having an absolute career day here at Atlanta, and they are going to change virtually nothing in the car. A half a pound of air out of the left front. That's about the biggest change they've made in this thing all day long. He's a little bit tight on brand new tires, and then the car comes in. Jeannie?
With 48 of Jimmy Johnson, who's saying, look, the car just is getting tighter. I guess the 16 really has their stuff figured out, because I need something to help me center off track bar adjustment and 4 tires, Steve.
Carl Edwards still just a little free, a quarter round of wedge, and you see they add a piece of tape to the grill. Matt.
Good stop going by Mark Martin's team. He's away. It's going to be close. Getting, looks like the 48 is going to get him. Slight track bar adjustment for Martin. He was solid before the stop, Brody.
I tell you, that 16, they have been on the mark all day long, but it looks like Joe Nemechek, that group gained 2 positions. Carl Edwards, the 99, they lost 2 positions. Casey Kane down here, Tommy Ball in that group, they gained 2 spots. There you see the times right there, and that's the entire pit road. Greg Biffle, Joe Nemechek, you see they had the fastest of the top 10. Ricky Rudd, Michael Waltrip, the slowest of pit road times, including the pit stop.
Jeannie?
Well, guys, the track here in Atlanta was a place that Bobby Labonte had a lot of fond memories to carry along with him. I don't know if today will qualify. We saw him taken out so early in this race, too early. And then he literally had his hand out the window right when Kurt Busch hit the wall. Some type of projectile, some piece of metal hit his hand. So he's doing okay, but insult to injury, I guess now, or maybe the other way around.
Yeah, injury to insult. I think you're right, Jeannie. Lap down cars pitting. There's Kyle Busch. He's made a nice recovery here, running 1 lap down after the problems he's had. But there's our pole sitter, Ryan Newman, whose day coming from the pole has gone the other way.
This group here, they own the mark, but we see it week in and week out. If the car and the driver's on the mark, the crew's on the mark.
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. 163 laps. We've just taken halfway in the Golden Corral 500. Greg Biffle in front of Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Elliott Sadler, and Ricky Rudd. 5 Fords in the top 6 spots. Then Dave Blaney, Casey Kane, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jeff Burton. Let's show you what happened to Bobby Labonte as he was cruising around here 48 laps down when there was a problem with Kurt Busch's tire. Tire flat, and things begin to shred. Now, there is Labonte way up at the top of your screen right there.
That was a pretty good sized piece of rubber that hit his hand.
So hopefully Labonte is okay.
We need to mention that caution was timely for Jamie McMurray in the 42 car. He gets the free pass, so he's now back on the lead lap. We have 15 cars on the lead lap.
Let's get downstairs for a Visa race break with Jeff Hammond.
A lot of times we keep hearing these teams talk about making track bar adjustments. Well, folks, I want to take this a second. We turn our Ford Cutaway car up on the side. This is what we call a track bar. It actually ties into the frame as well as the rear end housing. It controls the rear roll center of the car. And what the teams can do, it affects the car as far as entering the corner, exiting the corner. So they'll make adjustments by running this screw up and down. You can see it moving up. And this is what we call when we say making a track bar adjustment. And you're moving this bar, which affects the rear roll center of this race car. All of these types of adjustment have a bearing on what these 4 tires do, entering as well as through the center of the corner and exiting. So when you hear us talk about making track bar adjustment, Now you understand where a track bar is located at, what it actually ties in, which is the rear end housing, and how we adjust it during a pit stop, located right here out the top of the back rear window. Mike?
Thanks, Jeff, for that Visa race break. 164 laps complete. Just past halfway. Now another penalty on pit road. This time not speeding, but not staying in the, what do they call it, the established lane in the driver handbook.
I guess it'd be out of bounds if you want to look at it that way. There's a commit line down here. You see the cones.
You see Joe Nemechek, the 01, hit the cone, so basically he did not make it before the commit line in NASCAR's eyes. There's a car that was running in the top 5 or 6. The penalty will be, since it was under caution, tail into the longest line, so he's going to be back there in about 15th position. They went ahead and came to pit road, topped off with fuel, might as well.
Yeah, it looked like he come on pit road a little too hot, run up on the back of the 38 car there, Elliott Sadler, and had to swing out to keep running into Elliott.
So Jamie McMurray got the free pass. He'll be the 15th car on the lead lap when we restart this race shortly.
The Golden Corral 500, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by Aaron's. Aaron's makes dreams come true with dream prices on dream products. By Coca-Cola Racing Family. Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. By Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement. And by Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horn. Dodge. Time for our State Farm safety report. So far, it's been a safe race through 167 laps. Jeff Hammond is near the Ford cutaway car. Jeff?
Whenever guys happen to have problems, maybe with the drive shaft, what NASCAR has done, here's the drive shaft. You'll notice it's painted white. That way, in the event the drive shaft does happen to break and falls out on the racetrack, the other drivers can avoid it. The black asphalt, white drive shaft, they know to try to stay away from it, as well as NASCAR's mandated a safety strap to try to help that prevent that drive shaft from falling out and hitting the racetrack as we get ready to go back to green.
Greg Biffle out in front once again. This time Jimmy Johnson in tow. Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Elliott Sadler, Ricky Rudd, Dave Blaney, Casey Kane, Mayfield, Burton, and Riggs.
Just to follow up a little bit on what Jeff was talking about, those drive shafts used to be black. And then somebody throw one out on the racetrack, you wouldn't see it and you'd run over it. So NASCAR started painting them white. Makes them a little bit easier to see.
Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, his car is so strong through the center of the corner. Now the car third in line right there, the 32 car, Bobby Hamilton Jr., outside pole sitter. What he'd like to see is a caution. Then he would get the free pass back on the lead lap. I think he's had a good race car, just had that mishap on the backstretch on lap 1. Kyle Busch in the 5 car, remember, he is a lap down, pushing Mark Martin in the 6. Mark's in the 3rd position.
I think it's just so interesting, and always, I know from driving, how the track changes when the sun goes in, the track cools down, and a car that you really didn't like, a car that wasn't happy at all of a sudden you love it. So, man, this thing has come alive.
And Darrell, I still think, as we see Dale Earnhardt Jr., the 8 car, the Budweiser car, still not happy. He's back in 28th position, 2 laps down. But how about Ricky Rudd in that 21 car? He's sitting there running in 6th position. This is a great turnaround for this race team.
Fatback's back, isn't he? Back at
Fatback is back in town.
Track.
Back at the track.
Back at the track.
Nice climb through the field for the veteran from Chesapeake, Virginia today. Mike Bliss running right with him, 1 lap off the pace in 18th. Lead change again. These two have gone at it all day long, and this will be our, if it holds up, at the start-finish line, the only place lead changes are officially scored. If Johnson gets his bumper out front, it will be the 14th lead change of the day.
And he did. But this is almost like instant replay. Greg Biffle is 16. That group beats everyone off pit road. Jimmy Johnson sits back there for a few laps after a restart, and then he takes the lead.
Biffle had stretched it out pretty good after that last restart and up to this point here. And now it looks like they've made some good adjustments on the 48 car, and he's going to walk the dog.
Let's hear what Greg Biffle had to say during this last caution period.
We're looking at least 2 more stops the way it is right now. Probably end up being 3 or 4 with caution. Doing a hell of a job there, drivers. Keep it up.
Thanks. Kind of having fun today.
We'll keep everything smart. Keep everybody's head in it here. Still a long way to go.
But Darrell, that's information you want to know when you're out there. Yeah, I can tell you how many laps there is to go in the race, but you want to know how many pit stops are we looking at? How many more chances are we going to get to adjust this race car?
You know what I like? Doug Rooker, you think about Doug. He was Dale Earnhardt's crew chief in 1980.
When he won his first championship.
Won his first championship. Came from California. Young kid, wet behind the ears. And he has hung in here, and here he is probably in one of the best situations he's been in his life. And he's been around. He's worked for a lot of different teams, and he's been in the Truck Series and other places. But boy, when he got with Greg in this 16 car, they have really gelled.
The other thing I liked, Darrell, listening to that was how calm his driver sounded. You'd have thought that instead of running that car at 190 miles an hour, he was sitting on the couch. Jimmy Johnson, last 9 races, 5 wins, 9 top 10s.
Unbelievable. It just seemed it doesn't matter where we race. Short tracks, road courses, speedways, this team, they are on the mark.
And you know, to follow up a little bit on last week, just think about how many times that car gets inspected. Torn down, engine, gone through tech. Because when you win, they check you out a lot closer than they do if you run 5th or 6th.
Lead change number 15. Puts Biffle back to the front. Look at Jimmy's last 9 races. Last season are the ones above the line, and then he picked up right where he left off in 2005. 3 races, 3 top 5s, including a win. And again, to update, his crew chief Chad Knaus, penalized by NASCAR, but he has elected, as is his right, to appeal and to stay the suspension until the appeal is heard. The car's measurement, roof measurement, was found to be out of specification, out of adjustment at the conclusion of last week's race. Similar on the 5, Alan Gustafson, similar situation with the quarter panel height, out of adjustment. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick's crew chief Todd Berrier is appealing, but he has begun to serve his 4-race suspension for unapproved modifications to the fuel cell prior to qualify. Richard Childress and Berrier and Kevin Harvick said earlier that they are hoping to reduce the severity of the suspension, but don't expect to escape it entirely. Since they had tested here and were ready for here, they felt like that was as good a race for Todd to be off as any.
Well, this battle's been going on right here at the DW for quite a while between Elliott Sadler and the 38, Ricky Rudd in the 21. These guys are battling for 5th position right now.
Yeah, a couple of Virginia boys there having at it.
Let's catch up on Bad Back McSwain. Dick?
Well, Ricky Rudd, his driver, started in the 31st position, and right now he's running in the 6th. Bad Back was out for a couple of weeks with back surgery. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I've been standing up a long time, but I'm fine.
How about your race car? Can you get some more spots?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the pit crew's been working really hard, and Ricky's driving his tail off. We're happy with our car. We're just trying to be conservative because of where we are in points. And we'll take every spot we can get. He's working on one now.
Look at this guy. He doesn't want to take his eyes off that race car even for a second. Followed it all the way around the racetrack while we were talking to him.
You know, this year, as we see Kurt Busch, our champion and our points leader coming into Atlanta back on the racetrack. Now he's in 37th position, 20 laps down. But just back to Ricky Rudd, you know, we know it's Rusty Wallace's last year, Nextel Cup, Mark Martin's last year. A lot of speculation around Ricky Rudd. He made some very powerful but short comments back in January doing the meter tour in Charlotte. He said, you know what, when I'm not competitive, when I don't feel like I'm competitive, that's when I walk away. I probably won't have no final season last call.
Well, the way he's running, looks like he's going to be around for a while. Among the drivers that have had trouble today, you've heard about Bobby Labonte and Jeff Gordon, swept up in the wreck early on. But what about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? 1 lap down due to a pit road penalty, lost another lap, just plain got lapped on the racetrack, Matt. He's 2 down.
Still 2 laps down, running back in the 28th position. Now, the day as far as points goes, Junior still running in the 27th position in the championship standings, but the car still extremely inconsistent. It was loose early, could barely hang on to it. Then the car went back to the tight side when they pitted on lap 119. Now it's back to the loose side. If you look at his times, he's about 4 to 6 tenths a second a lap slower than the leader. Not a good day for a guy many figured would be in the championship fight early on this year. Not a good season so far for Junior.
I just think when you think about Dale Earnhardt Jr., you think about Tony Jr., Yuri Jr., and Sr. That's the only crew chief that man has ever had since he's been in racing. I think you took him out of that comfort zone, and it's going to take some time. I'm not saying that there's any problem with Rondo. I'm just saying it's going to take some time.
Roush Racing teammates, Carl Edwards and Mark Martin, pupil and teacher. Well, maybe. But Edwards, at least in the Busch Series, has picked up where Mark Martin left off as far as getting to victory lane is concerned. Now they battle side by side for third.
But not surprised to see Mark running good here. You heard Matt Yoakum earlier say he's won here twice, but he ran second here in the fall, led a bunch of laps up to near the end, and this is the same race car. But the thing about it, this Mark Martin, it seems like his car is getting stronger and stronger as this race unfolds.
And these long green flags, Larry, is what takes its toll on an engine here. These are high speeds, lots of RPM, and this is a 500-mile race. The last 50 miles, 75 miles of this race seems like it always catches somebody up with an engine problem.
Ricky Rudd got past Elliott Sadler. That's a change at 5th place. Moves the 48-year-old into the top 5.
Well, the Ford hadn't won here in 15 races, but let me tell you, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in the top 6.
This is Casey Kane in the 9 car. He's in 9th position now. Dale Jarrett in the 88 car. He is 29th, 3 laps down. Earlier in the race, had 2 consecutive pit road speeding penalties under green.
That's Scott Riggs just ahead of Kane. They are racing for 8th place.
Another good run by Scotty. I'm just pretty impressed. And another guy that's just ahead of him, Dave Blaney, just trucking along here. He likes Atlanta, like we almost won a race here a couple of years ago. Having a great day today.
Yep, Blaney came out of the World of Outlaws, came to NASCAR, ran some Busch races, got into Bill Davis's Cup car, and anybody who was here that day will tell you he would have been a winner had they not had that hub problem.
That gum loose wheel got him.
Tell you what, Casey Kane, knowing the 9 car, got a heck of a run off turn 4 the last time, and it looks like he's going to carry it down through 1 and 2, but he's going to have to fall back in line on the backstretch behind Scott Riggs in the 10. Let's update the man that had the penalty the last time we had a caution. Joe Nemechek had been running up in the top 5 for most of the race, hit the commit cones when they came to pit road, and right now he's only been able to get back to about 12th position. Problem is he's almost a half a lap behind our leader, Greg Biffle. Just hard to make up that ground here.
It's kind of, when you get in the back like it's kind of like reminds me of the movie Gladiator. You know, every time you go in the arena, you get a little bit more competition, gets a little bit tougher. Well, now you're going to have to fight the Lions.
Well, Darrell, remember, he restarted back in 16th position, and as many cars as we have a lap down with the inside line, that's like restarting in 32nd position.
Brian Newman just in front of Nemechek, qualified for his 5th straight pole, but he's going to have to go some to equal his average finish here of 14th. Newman is a lap down in 22nd. Remember the new procedure here: practice on Friday, qualifying Friday night, then you don't touch the car until race time. And certainly Newman had it set up good enough for the pole, but not quite good enough yet on race day.
You see it qualifying on the mark, race after race, just that average finish. And I talked to some of the members of the Penske organization this morning, and they said, you know what, and we've talked about this, Darrell, they have to figure out how to close the deal,
yes,
start to finish.
And, you know, it kind of reminds me of golf. Some guys can drive for, you know, they can drive the ball a mile, but they don't have a lot of finesse when it comes to the greens.
Here's Jeannie.
In the 48th minute of Jimmy Johnson, where Jimmy is telling his crew chief, Chad Canals, the car is tight into the turn and into the center of the turn. And actually what it is doing is bogging the engine down, slowing it down. He said we need something in the right rear or a little less in the left rear to help steer the car, planning the adjustments for the pit stop.
He's 1 second back of Greg Biffle right now.
And I think, again, we've been talking about it. It keeps clouding up more and more. The track keeps cooling down. They're going to have to keep making adjustments to keep up with this.
And one thing that's bothered me about the 16 car, Biffle, they keep saying don't touch the car. They're not making any adjustments. sometimes that's not the best thing.
I mean, that is a substantial drop right there. I mean, you just look, the air temperature has not dropped hardly at all, but just look at the difference in track temperature. That has to make a difference.
You ride with Jeff Burton, who 2 laps ago passed Casey Kane for 9th. Kane has just repassed him for 10th as they battle with Scott Riggs. Play the Gillette Young Guns $1 million watch and win game. Find game pieces on specially marked Gillette, Oral-B, and Duracell products. There's this week's Gillette winning code number H49745. Visit GilletteYoungGuns.com for details, rules, and to get a free game piece. There's where the Young Guns are running, one of whom took some time to analyze the surface of this racetrack.
Each of the racetracks, when you have fresh tires and tape the nose off and you go rip off a lap, you know you're going fast. You feel that speed. And the thing with Atlanta is it's in the southeast where they have that gritty asphalt. The salt mixture just raises the coarseness of the track, chews up tires. And so by lap 30, you want to come in and get tires because you're all over the place. So Atlanta is the fastest place we run on, but yet it drops off almost as bad as Darlington does. So it's a tough place to race now.
It's been a tough place for the defending series champion today, Kurt Busch. 21 laps down after multiple tire problems. And here's where the past winners at Atlanta fare. 3 of them in the top 5, Johnson, Martin, and Rudd. But the rest of them well down the list.
Yeah, and those 2 guys at the very bottom there have, Gordon's got 4 wins there. Labonte's got 6. That's 10 wins at the bottom of the list.
Caution is out. For the 5th time today, there is Bobby Hamilton Jr., who was trying to get back to the lead lap, crashing in turn 2.
This caution will be a huge break for one of those past winners that was on that list, Tony Stewart, because he was not very far from going a lap down in that 20 car. And we were very, very close to green flag pit stop starting to break out.
Yeah, you know, it always makes you wonder, you get that close to a stop. Tire wear out, is that what happened? You know, he had the right front look like down.
And Darrell, it's such a fine line here. We've been hearing these guys all day long talk about their cars being loose, their cars pushing. You can't have a car be loose, but at the same time, if you tighten it up too much, it just works that right front tire.
Oh boy, if you these turns are so big here, and if you're leaning on that right front tire, you're leaning on that baby a long time.
And during this run, Bobby Hamilton Jr. was running that car very hard, trying to stay in position to get the free pass. Instead, he causes the free pass, and it will go to Brian Vickers.
And that's a shame. They had a great run at Las Vegas last week, finished 11th, came here with another new car, sat on the outside of the front row. So this team's starting to turn it around if they can just get all the luck to work with them.
It's baby steps, and they're taking them, and they're getting there, and that's encouraging.
Dr. Dirt.
Yeah, and I'm in Greg Biffle's pit. I've been here all day, and it's the same story. No major changes. They're going to let the right front tires sneeze 1/2 a pound of air pressure, but that's it. This set of tires has essentially the same code numbers as the tires that have come off the car. To Jeannie.
From no major changes, how about the 48 where Jimmy Johnson saying all we've been able to do is keep up with the track? Maybe we should double our efforts. Translation, over-adjust for what will be. Steve?
Half around a wedge and a track bar adjustment for Carl Edwards. 4 tires, he's gotten just a little free. Matt?
Trying to tighten up Mark Martin's race car as the 16 goes by, the 48 goes by. Mark was concerned right before this caution. He was starting to ease out of it a little bit. Thought he might have something amiss with that right front. But nothing else. Referring back the crew looking over the tires at this moment.
See the real loser right there on those pit stops. Mark Martin in the 6 car. Those guys lose 2 positions. Jeff Burton's 31 team, they gain him 2 positions. Dave Blaney in the top 10 loses 3.
Should see an arm pump there from Jeff Burton. We're riding in his car. He picked up 2 spots.
You see right there, Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton. We talked about the positions gained. Of course, Biffle had none to gain. The fastest times on pit road. Mark Martin, one of the slowest.
I think if you listen to Mark Martin's radio, though, and he says, you know, I feel something going on with that right front. A veteran driver, like he said, I'll squeeze out. I'll make it to the pit stop. Guy like Bobby Jr., you know, he doesn't feel that. Bam, into the wall.
I heard what he said, but I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything.
Checking the tire wear in Mark Martin's pit as the lap down cars come in.
I'd say that was
and make their stops.
You know, Greg Biffle, we've been talking about his group all day long on their pit stops. Let me show you with one of our animations what's really helping him. Pit selection. They had a pretty decent qualifying. This is an opening to the garage area, so there's no one that pits in that, so he's able to pull right out. No one will ever block him in right there, and that has to be helping their stops as well. And there you see it right there, the opening. Yeah, Tony Stewart is right here, but this goes into the garage area, so they have a clear shot out each time they pit that race car.
Now that's a long stop for Stewart. He's one of the lead lap cars, and he is still there.
But just barely, Mike. I mean, he was hanging on to the lead because they were coming up on him pretty quickly.
Take a look at Greg Biffle's pit stops. Position after the pit stop, he won every time.
You can't get any better than that. Remember, those times, that's 4 tires and 22 gallons of fuel. You think they're not athletes out there on pit road?
I never thought that. Matt, how about Mark's tires?
Looking over Mark's tires, the team says that they are showing some wear, but nothing more inconsistent than what we've seen earlier. Just a little bit of graininess across the top of the tire. The stop before, Mark is extra sensitive to that right front. The stop before, Pat Tryson gave him the temperatures across the entire tire, so Mark knew exactly what that tire was looking like temperature-wise to ease any concern that he may have.
Well, Darrell, Kurt Busch pops a right front, hits the wall. Bobby Jr. pops a right front, hits the wall. You going to start thinking about your right front?
And the thing that he's telling Mark is when he gives him those tire temps, they take temps in 3 spots: inside shoulder, middle, outside shoulder. If you're abusing the inside of the tire, you're going to blow it out. And so that's why Mark wants to know, what are my tire temps across that right front?
Well, the pit road speeding police is still at work because 2 cars on the lead lap. Joe Nemechek in the 01, Jeremy Mayfield, too fast entering pit road. It looks like possibly Jimmy Spencer and Matt Kenseth, who are some laps down, too fast exiting. But that's 2 stops in a row that Joe Nemechek, the 01, they've had some sort of infraction.
One of the things that's happened to some of those guys back in line a little bit, Larry, is when they get to the end of pit road, there are cars in front of them. And I'm not sure, maybe they're not seeing the commit line until they're inside the box.
And I think what's happening a lot on the exiting, some of the teams were telling me that last segment is somewhat of a long segment, and when you clear the last pit box, you think you can go, and you can.
Right. You think when you're at the end of the pit lane there that you're on your way, but there's still about 2 more pit boxes to go.
Well, let's go with 120 laps to go. Greg Biffle still leading. Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards, Ricky Rudd, Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler, 5 Ford, 1 Chevrolet. In the top half dozen. Then it's Jeff Burton Chevy, Casey Kane's Dodge, Scott Riggs and Dave Blaney, the top 10.
Well, it looked like that inevitably here, somebody on a restart will spin the rear tires. Looked like that could have happened to Biffle that time.
And Jimmy Johnson in the 48, he's going to take advantage, but Greg Biffle gets that good run on the high side, drag racing down the backstretch.
Behind them going into turn 1, they were 4 wide at about 6th place.
Well, don't look now, but they're still that way.
Johnson with the low Chevrolet on the bottom leads this lap from Biffle, who takes it right back heading for turn 1.
Are you sure he led it? Because they were just about neck and neck.
Well, you get such a run down the straightaway when you're on the high side like Biffle is, and you get bogged down a little when you're on the bottom like Jimmy is there in the 48. That's how come they kind of meet in the middle of the back straightaway. One coming and one going.
I must have blinked. They gave that lap to Biffle.
And these guys, I mean, we've been counting lead changes at the start-finish line. There's no telling how many times they swapped the lead at other areas of the racetrack.
And the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson, it's hard to stay down underneath somebody running the kind of speeds they're running off the corners here without taking a chance of getting sucked around.
Look at Carl Edwards in the 99. Our top 3 different lines through 1 and 2. And look at that Ricky Rudd, that 21 car up there in 4.
A, B, and C line.
Now tell me, Darrell, at these speeds, running this close, going into the corner like that, this a little frightening at this stage in the race, or is this just a lot of fun?
No, you're having a good time. You know, you kind of know what your car is capable of at this point. So you know how hard you can drive it in. You know how quick
you can get back on it. Ricky Rudd, the 21 car is in trouble, running in 4th position, it looks like.
Boy, he's going to cause everybody here to get in trouble with him. Oh, boy.
DW is watching the 21 car. Looks like he maybe have a left rear tire going down for sure on that thing. But watching the guys up front, you were talking about a minute ago, you watch Ricky try to limp around here and get in on the pit road. He's definitely got a tire going down, and it's the right rear, not the left rear. right rear looks like from here now. And hopefully he can get it on pit road and not get himself into some trouble and get run over. He's on pit road.
Biggest thing, can't speed on his pit stop. He's probably going to go a lap down right here, but they just got to get back out there. Dick, they know they have a good race car.
Yeah, they do have a race car, but this surely is, he's got no brakes. That's what it is, a busted wheel cylinder, he just said, or something of that nature. Brakes are the problem with Ricky Rudd.
What a shame. I mean, he's been up there in the top 5 or 10 for about the last 150 laps.
You don't use a lot of brake here in the race itself, but you do lay your foot on those brakes.
Lead change, turn 2. Johnson with a run from the top to bottom of the racetrack. He edges Biffle, but no way he's going to clear him.
These guys just will not give up, and we still have over 100 laps to go.
Right there's where it gets a little touchy for the guy on the inside, because he's got to have a little bit of room on the outside to clear, and he just can't quite make it.
This time through 1 and 2, Jimmy Johnson to the bottom, Greg Biffle all the way up to the top of the racetrack.
The bottom will prevail if you can just stay in the gas as you exit the corner. I mean, the shortest way around is on the bottom, so you're going to have the shortest amount of the distance to go. Sometimes you get bogged down there, though.
Darrell, you and Larry both know sometimes you see a situation like this happening. Two guys going side by side like they're doing. You have to sooner or later tell your own driver, man, be smart. Let him go if he's working you that hard. Save your tires and realize at the end of this run, you'll get it back. So you got to throttle back sometimes and realize this big picture is how are you going to finish if you abuse that right front tire? And you've already seen when guys do it, they'll wind up in the wall.
Well, these are the two best cars on the racetrack right now, 48 and 16. And their cars have been really good all day long. I think with the aero package, that little bit smaller rear blade back there, you want to get in clean air as quick as you can.
Ricky Rudd's really fine ride is over. He's taking that car to the garage.
Been watching this battle right here. This is a battle for about 10th position between Joe Nemechek in the 01, Tony Stewart in the 20, and McMurray in the 42. Remember, McMurray got back on the lead lap. But I've been watching that 20 car, DW. I think you mentioned earlier. It's like he runs good only on fresh tires for a few laps. Then he really starts to fade.
He's got about a 10 lapper there. If they get a caution late, he's on the lead lap. He might be all right, but he's not good on the long run.
110 laps to go at Atlanta Motor Speedway. You're watching the Golden Corral 500 presented on Fox by M3 Power from Gillette.
Golden Corral 500 presented by M3 Power from Gillette is brought to you by Nextel. Go to foxsports.com to find out how you can be the Nextel Fan of the Week.
I know we call this the Nextel Fan of the Week, but I cannot be a bigger fan of the two gentlemen next to me serving our country. Name and rank, sir.
It's our first class promotable, Anthony Garrett.
Captain Michael Sheridan.
There we go, getting the cheers now at NASCAR. Big thing with the military, yes?
It's a big morale booster. Matter of fact, we have 3 fanatics in Afghanistan right now, Colonel Preisler, Colonel Manning, and Staff Sergeant Arrowwood.
All right, get them all in there. And the parallels between the military and NASCAR, do you see them?
Definitely. You've got your drivers on the front lines, all the crew supporting them, and all the fans supporting everybody and everything they do, just like us.
All right, and we, of course, support you, our Nextel Fan of the Week, and thank you for serving the country on behalf of Fox Sports, everyone here at the Nextel Experience. Big salute, guys. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jeannie, and to the troops watching across the globe. Glad to have them with us and appreciate them being part of our Fan of the Week. For more information, log on to foxsports.com. Nextel. Jimmy Johnson, your leader. 103 laps to go, but Atlanta, where champions meet, like on the very first lap, 4 Cup Series champs along with 5 other drivers involved in the backstretch. It started with Casey Mears in the 41, kind of went sideways, and Jeff Gordon caught up in it along with Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, even Jeff Burton. Here's a look from Jeff Burton's in-car camera. Somehow he weaved through and then ran into Bobby Labonte. They red flagged it once they got to going. Kurt Busch came in as the points leader. Tire problem.
Yeah, right there you see a right front tire went down on him. The crew came in. They made a change. He got a lucky break, stayed on the lead lap, but later on he lost another right front tire, and losing the right front fender, you see, just blew it totally off the race car, had to go behind the wall to make repairs.
And then after that, it's pretty much been the Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle show. Johnson in his 48 car, Biffle in his 16. Between the two, they traded leads 6 times. In this race, we've had 20 lead changes, so every Cup race so far this year has had at least 20 lead changes. And right now, Johnson leading Biffle with Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, and Casey Kane rounding out the top 5. So Carl Edwards, one of the young drivers, not necessarily a rookie, but Kurt's younger brother Kyle Busch, who is a rookie, has done a good job of hanging around in this race after a good run last week.
Yeah, he's had some trouble here early on, but he's fought his way back, and he's still 1 lap down. But they've got that race car where literally he's running about 5th on the racetrack, and his lap times are good enough to be in the top 10 if he can just get a break and get himself a caution. Right now, they've got the car working pretty well for him. If he can just keep his nose clean, he may have an opportunity to fight his way back up there in that top 5 or top 10.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson trying to become the first driver to win back-to-back Atlanta races since Jeff Gordon did it in 1998 and 1999. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
There's Johnson with a 1-second lead on Greg Biffle. Then Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, Casey Kane has taken 5th from this man. With Ricky Rudd in the garage, Jeff Burton climbs to the top of the nice guys you'd like to see have a good day list. He is now 6th. He has 3 4th-place finishes here, 2 5th-place finishes at Atlanta, all with, well, one with, I think, Stavola brothers, and then the rest with Roush Racing.
And just remember, he started this race back in 38th, and as you just saw in the highlights from Chris and Jeff in the hotel, he was involved in that crash on lap 1, so great recovery by this race team.
And Childress has 5 wins in the spring race here at Atlanta, thinking back to not too long ago when Kevin Harvick won this race.
And with Dave Blaney running up the top 10, Childress right now has 2 cars in the top 8. Both those race teams needed good runs here.
All these drivers have hero cards. You can get them at the souvenir trailers. The big collecting thing in baseball and football, other sports, are rookie cards. And I think Steve Burns is about to go us one better.
Hey, Mike, remember I told you a little bit earlier, Kenny Schrader told Carl Edwards to go back to Missouri and get in a dirt car. Well, Carl needed an angle, a way to get noticed. His mom, Nancy, suggested that he make business cards. So he did, and it says, if you're looking for a driver, you're looking for me. Now, a lot of the local racers made fun of Carl, gave him a lot of flack for doing it. But you know what? It worked. One of these business cards made their way to Roush Racing, and now his mom, Nancy, is sitting atop the pit box watching her 25-year-old son race for the win and the weekend sweep.
Hang on to that, Steve. That could be a valuable souvenir.
All right, DW, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're hunting a driver for your NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series team a few years ago. Guy gives you a business card. What do you do with it?
I'd say, that's nice. Probably put it in the folder and move on. You know, that doesn't happen very often. But, you know, what I like is guys like him that have taken a little and done a lot. That's what got someone's attention. That's what got Jack's attention. Not taking a lot and doing a little.
Yesterday's winner in the Aaron's 312 Busch Series race, his first Busch win after a successful run for Roush in the Craftsman Truck Series.
And just look at everything he's trying to accomplish this year, and early in the season he's accomplished it. He's trying to win the Nextel Cup Championship, and he's well in contention. Now, he's not eligible for Rookie of the Year in Nextel Cup because of the amount of races that he ran last year, but he is eligible for that award in the Busch Series as well as the Busch Series Championship. So of the big 4, he could accomplish 3 of them this year.
Almost wrecked the leader twice. He just goes high 3. Never know about him.
And that's his spotter, Bobby Hudson, just talking about Jimmy Spencer, trying to anticipate, there's that word anticipate, DW, which way Jimmy Spencer in the 50 car will go.
Bill Elliott, the hometown hero, moving past Tony Stewart. Here's Elliott Sadler battling Stewart for 14th position. Elliott is a lap down. Debris on the racetrack. 6th caution of the day. Dick.
Well, Stewart has really had his problems today, Mike. They have done just about everything they can to that car. Some of the adjustments have been so serious that he has come in. They've just done all kinds of things to the car on a caution. He'll go out, make another lap, come back in and change a bunch more stuff on it. Basically, the car has been tight, particularly entering the turns and in the middle. A guy that a lot of people thought was going to win is having a real tough day. Tony Stewart running in the back.
Well, we've seen all day long. I wouldn't count him out. You make the right changes on your car, and you can get it back up front.
And if we have a short run at the end of the race, you might count him in.
That's right. He's pretty quick for 10, 15 laps, look like.
Obviously, all the crews getting ready to go to work here as we have right at about 92 laps to go. This would not be the final pit stop should we stay green, but again, we have 15 cars on the lead lap. This should be 4 tires full of fuel, and what teams need adjustments, they'll get those adjustments this time.
Biffle and Johnson have each led over 100 laps today. Jimmy just took the lead for most laps led, which is 5 more bonus points. He's led 117 circuits. Greg Biffle's led 105. Nobody else worth counting today. Nobody else has led more than 5 laps. Dick Berggren patiently awaiting the rush onto pit road.
And now for something completely different, they are going to adjust Greg Biffle's car. Why? Because he didn't lead all the laps in that segment. They're going to try to tighten it up a little bit. Air pressure for sure. Maybe we'll see the wrench go in the left rear of the car as well. Watch this crew. They have been on the money all day long. Adam Emmert is in the front, Mike Hillman in the back, and they have been flawless. Jeannie.
Level 48 of Jimmy Johnson, where Jimmy was saying, look, this car was just thinking about getting tight. So just a small change, please. Air pressure adjustment to that left rear seat.
Carl Edwards still just a little bit free. They'll make a track bar adjustment and add a piece of vertical tape to the grill. Matt?
At the bottom of your screen, Mark Martin, no changes this stop for the 6 team. He hit pit road in 4th position. A drag race off between, close call with Casey Kane getting out. They made a track bar adjustment on the 9. The car was tight, but it was getting better. He could go back up to the high line. Look at the race off pit road. Look at Jeff Burton, the 31 group, gained 4 positions, and then you look at Carl Edwards in the 99. Those guys lost 4 positions. A good stop for that 31 team. And there you see the top times, including the pit stop on pit road. Jeff Burton's team backs it up with Casey Kane as well. Mark Martin and Carl Edwards, you see why they lost positions. They were slow on their time spent on pit road.
Sixth caution of the day. We stand with 91 laps to go and still 18 cars in contention on the lead lap.
I'm strutting my stuff, y'all.
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Golden Corral 500. Just 89 laps to go. Greg Biffle still leading Jimmy Johnson. Time for a Visa race break from the Hollywood Hotel. Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers keeping an eye on things and what should be an interesting finish. We just saw in those recent round of pit stops as we're under caution how Jeff Burton took advantage and how it hurt Carl Edwards.
We're taking a look right now down pit road. You see the guys starting to come out of their pit box. At the top of the screen right there, you'll see the 16 on the outside lane. Now coming out is Jimmy Johnson, and they start down through there. He's actually leading Biffle down through there, but he realizes, man, I don't want to get caught speeding, so he slows down just a little bit. Greg speeds up just a little bit. They're about neck and neck as they get toward the end of pit road, and Greg says, well, I'm just going to try to take advantage of it. All of a sudden you see Casey Kane come out, but he actually beats Jimmy Johnson off the pit, gets the lead back by that way right there. He took a chance and got by with it, and we go back to green.
A Visa race break. Now back to green.
Biffle, Johnson, Jeff Burton after that great stop by the Childress team. The new 3rd place car, they're in orange. Casey Kane, Mark Martin, Scott Riggs. Carl Edwards is 7th with Dave Blaney, Brian Vickers, and Jamie McMurray. Kyle Busch got the free pass as we battle for the lead again.
Yeah, I tell you, though, this makes me nervous. I'm telling you, when you run underneath somebody like that, it just really is hard to keep your car from getting into that guy on the outside.
I mean, they are neck and neck again after lap 1 of a restart. 7 1/1000ths of a second separated with Biffle leading that lap.
22 lead changes today among 7 drivers. But those 2 have led just about all the laps. All but 12.
And we just, as I mentioned earlier, we've only been counting the lead changes at the start-finish line. There's no telling how many times these guys have swapped the lead other places on the racetrack. Now, Dale Jarrett in the 88 car, the UPS car, he's in 26, 2 laps down. The battle is back there between Ryan Newman in the 12, Sterling Marlin in the 40, trying to get that free pass, being the first car lap down.
Pretty cool. Now they're going to change roles. Biffle to the inside, Johnson to the outside.
The hunter becomes the hunted. Oh, crossover. Jimmy looking on the bottom again. Nothing there.
I'll tell you who's starting to really hunt right now is that 9 car, Casey Kane, in 3rd position. He's hunting the high side of the racetrack, but he has those 3 lap cars who are riding with him here in between him and those top 2.
Well, it's good to see him up there running well today because they have really, man, at Daytona and Fontana, they have had some tough goes of it. In Las Vegas.
And guys, we're 240 laps into this race. Casey Kane and Jeff Burton just ran their fastest laps of the race.
Can you say cooler temperatures?
And time to go.
You know, this race is physically demanding too. I mean, this joint is fast. You get a lot of G's in a turn here, and you're in the turns a long, long time.
Talking about cooler temperatures, we've been following this all day long. Remember, we started this race roughly about 3 hours ago. The sun was out. It's been very cool and very overcast since then. You see right there, not much difference in the air temperature, but just look at the difference, especially in turn 1 and 2. That just changes the handle of the cars, but really picks those speeds up. More gripping than racetrack.
Jimmy Johnson just about 6 car lengths behind Greg Biffle. Here's Jeannie.
Well, you gentlemen are talking about cooler temperatures, so that has to do with the weather, but the race is heating up, and you can really start to feel the tension here in the pits. Chad Knaus coming on the radio telling his driver, look, just relax. We only need to lead 1 more lap. That would be lap 325.
Yeah, but you know what, Jeannie? I think what Jimmy Johnson is seeing, the same thing I'm seeing. That 16 is on he's moving away from Johnson right now, and those adjustments they made this time seem to really help him.
Started the track is good.
Talk about a turnaround. The Childress team has come in here and run extremely well. 2 of their 3 cars on the lead lap, with Jeff Burton presently in 4th place. Here's Dick.
Yeah, the neat thing about that, Mike, is he started in 38th position. Car has a new body. It had never been raced. They tried it a couple of times, tested it here and there, but today is the first time it has seen competition. Burton doing a great job at his pit crew. Wow, they have picked up 20 spots on pit road. Looking at pit stop after pit stop. They did it in Vegas, picked up 18 there, picked up 16 in California. Burton right now running in 4th position. I bet he can't wait for the next round of pit stops so he can get a couple more spots.
And his teammate Dave Blaney is also in the top 10.
Well, like I always say, I can make up a few hundreds on the racetrack. You can make up seconds in the pits.
And I think they have made big gains under the hood of these race cars, too. And the indication of that was when Bobby Hamilton Jr. sat on the outside pole Friday night. They used Richard Childress engines.
There's Dave Blaney tracking down Mark Martin. This is 6th and 7th. Make it 5th when you add in the 10 of Scott Riggs. Or 6th, 7th, and 8th.
You know, the Childress team that has been carrying the banner for most of this season already has been Kevin Harvick. So strong at Fontana, very strong at Las Vegas last week, but he's been somewhat struggling. We're riding with him here. He's 1 lap down, back in 25th position. A little bit of a struggle for this race team today, but remember, they are working without their crew chief, Todd Berrier.
Yeah, you know, I question that, Larry. I mean, why? I would wait for NASCAR to impose the penalty. I don't know if NASCAR is going to take that into consideration or not when they hand out the penalty this week.
Under appeal. We did talk with Richard Childress this weekend about that, and he told Fox that they felt that the suspension would not be lifted entirely. They hoped to reduce it, and they thought that since they tested here, this would be a good race to miss if you had to miss one.
This battle here, it's been going on. You see Scott Riggs in the 10 looked like he wiggled quite a bit and was going to lose a lot of ground to Dave Blaney in the 07. These guys are battling for 7th position. Remember, our pole sitter, Ryan Newman, in the 12 is 1 lap down right now, back in 18th position.
Joe Nemechek has recovered nicely from that pit road speeding penalty. He's up for 9th in the 01.
Yeah, he's had 2 penalties on the last 2 pit stops, one for hitting the commit cone and then for speeding on pit road the last time, so nice recovery.
Riding with Michael Waltrip, looking at Jamie McMurray. They are 11th and 12th. Behind them, Elliott Sadler in 13th.
I think Michael in the 15 crowd must have made some pretty major adjustments on their last pit stop. So he came in running in the 5th or 6th spot. went out running into like the 12th or 13th spot, but it seems like the car is coming back to the front for him.
Nemechek battling his teammate Scott Riggs in the 10. This is at 8th place.
But those owners at MBV, MB2, they have to be so proud because 5 races into this season, these two teams, they've been strong on qualifying day, they've been strong on race day. I mean, it's just great. I'm sure it's a great feeling. Riggs got real loose again as he did about 2 laps ago down in 3 and 4. But to see 2 race cars, remember they have that Hendrick power, so strong, so consistent week in, week out.
One thing I like about working with the Hendrick group is they share information on everything. Engines, chassis, setups. Those guys can go and talk to Chad Knaus or anybody on the Hendrick organization about setup, and they'll help them with it.
Robbie Gordon caught up in that little bit of that lap 1 crash. He's fallen 4 laps down in 30th as Greg Biffle will put lap 252 on the board and leave us with 73 to go in Atlanta.
The Golden Corral 500 on Fox, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by UPS. We're going to race the truck. People love the truck. UPS, the official delivery company of NASCAR, delivers the chance to win 4 tickets to next year's Daytona 500. Go to foxsports.com, keyword UPS. Good luck to you from all of us at Fox. Under 70 laps to go, Greg Biffle leading the race, and he has also set his career high for most laps led in a race at 120 plus. Biffle has never had 3 straight top 10s, and in his 16 car, he's hoping to do that, not to mention win his 3rd Cup race in the last 5 tries. Of course, Jimmy Johnson there trying to keep up with him. 67 laps to go.
67 laps to go. Chris, a couple things that jumped out at me. At last caution, guys came down pit road, made adjustments to their cars. We see Jimmy Johnson continue to try to chase after Greg Biffle. But all of these guys, Casey Kane, Jeff Burton, as well as his teammate Dave Blaney, all had their fastest lap after that last restart. So they made the right adjustments right now, and they got themselves in pretty good position. I think they're going to make one more pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see what these teams can do. We've been talking about the 31 car and how great a good pit stops they've been having. So it could kind of play into the factor they could get closer to the front. And these pit crews are going to have to make sure they don't make any mistakes on that final pit stop.
Blaney in the 07 and in the 31 Jeff Burton Childress cars. Roush Racing recently had one of their engine specialists hired away by Richard Childress.
Yeah, one of their aerodynamic engineers, Nick Leela. And, you know, you wonder if whether or not he's already had an impact over there or not. So, but it's good to see Richard Childress Racing and back up here battling in the top 10.
All right, let's get more on Jeff Burton with Dick Berger. Dick?
Well, he was a lot better right after that round of pit stops. But right now, Burton is suffering from a car that is way too loose. He is asked to tighten that automobile up a lot on the next round of pit stops.
Yeah, you can see he's got his hands full right there. He's really cranking that thing. I noticed we've been in the car with him a time or two, and he really puts a lot of effort into the steering. He really cranks that thing to the left. Watch him right here. I mean, he goes all the way down his left. He's using his, see how he's got his left or his right arm laying on the steering wheel? That's for support. Whoa, baby. She juked on him there. Jumped out from under him a little bit.
I think Joe Nemechek might have loosened him up a little there, Darrell.
I believe he did. He's talking about being loose. That made him real loose.
Yeah, he's lost about 4 positions in the last 3 laps. But, guys, we're to that final 100 miles. DW talked about it in the pre-race, early in the race. This is when those engine guys, they get a little bit nervous. These RPMs, they've been going on now for over 3.5 hours. A lot of RPMs late in the race now.
The cooler temperatures help a little bit as far as wear and tear on the engine, but still 500 miles on this racetrack where you're in the throttle all the time.
Biffle and Johnson have dominated this race. Greg has led 133 laps, Jimmy 117. But don't count out the young fellow in 3rd. Casey Kane is 6 seconds back, and last year he finished 3rd here in this race and 5th in the fall race. Matt's with his crew chief.
Second best racetrack for Casey Kane on going back to a racetrack for a second time. Now, Tommy, you've got that car back in contention. What's Casey saying about it now?
I was still a little off. We got to keep adjusting on it, but this Dodge Charger's running pretty good. Best it's run all year. We just got to keep working on it.
The big thing is confidence. The car's still a little tight on entry, but Casey said it really turns well from the center off.
And I would have to say what else probably helped Tommy Ball and Casey Kane, this 9 team, is whenever you go to a track and Goodyear takes a new tire there, they go there and they do a confirmation test. And Casey Kane in the 9, they were one of the ones that did that test back in January. You know who the other car was? Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car, running 2nd and 3rd right now.
Another guy that I've been watching, and he's coming back, is Carl Edwards. Restarted in about 10th place, and he's back up to 4th. And he has the fastest car on the racetrack right now by about a 10th and a half.
Of the top 10 drivers entering this race in the Nextel Cup points, only one of them still has the same point position, Tony Stewart 6th. Here's how the top 5 came in. Busch, Johnson, Biffle. There's how things will change. There would be the new top 5 the way they're running right now. 9 of the top 10 positions would change given the positions the drivers are in right now.
And we've been talking about it. The fans may say, look, this is the only, race 5. What's the big deal about that? But just remember, it's not a 36 race schedule. It's actually a 26 race schedule before they reset that chase for the Cup.
Some of those guys way down there, like Bobby Labonte and others, they are in trouble.
Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson both batting, looking to bat 600. Biffle looking for his 3rd win in the last 5 races. Johnson is going for his 6th win in the last 10. We listened in on Jimmy Johnson's team.
3120. Leaders running 3090. Jimmy's 3rd and 4th are running 31 flat. You're doing everything you can, but we got to try to keep him in sight in case we have a green flag pit stop here at the end, so we can catch him.
Just giving that driver information, letting him know how he stacks up against the competition out front, which would be Greg Biffle, as well as Casey Kane and Carl Edwards. But right now, we're about 20 laps away from that possible green flag stop that you heard Chad Canals telling Jimmy Johnson about. Could be that final opportunity for 4 tires and that final adjustment.
Jeannie is in the pits of the Lowe's Chevy.
Yes, and the man in charge of the catch count for the 48, not in Las Vegas to taste victory. Someone much more important needed him. Mike Knauer's mother, Catherine, very ill. She is still in intensive care in our nation's capital. Knauer is here this week, but as you can see, Mom is definitely on his mind and his helmet.
Thanks, Jeannie.
A lot of races, but you only have one mom.
There's Jimmy Johnson from our Quaker State aerial coverage. You'll see that he's 5.7 seconds behind Greg Biffle, and he is 2 seconds up on Casey Kane in front of a huge crowd here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
But you know what makes Mom happy? Put a smile on her face. Her son does good.
You got it. 55 laps to go in the Golden Corral 500.
The Golden Corral 500, presented by M3 Power from Gillette, is brought to you by new Tylenol Extra Strength Rapid Release Gel. Team Tylenol, think fast. By Office Depot, the official office products partner of NASCAR. By new high endurance oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. And by Visa, proud sponsor of NASCAR. A good old-fashioned Ford Chevy shootout at the make that the Golden Corral here. Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson going at it back and forth. Biffle has led 146 laps. Jimmy Johnson 117, and a crowd estimated at over 100,000 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway on this first day of spring and Palm Sunday. And we already have some action on pit road. Joe Nemechek with a cylinder problem.
Means he must have possibly a broken valve spring or something. He's not running up to full speed. They're coming down to get 4 tires. This will be their last stop of the day. Maybe they're trying to short pit at the same time and trying to make the best of a bad situation, Chris. We take a look at our leader, Greg Biffle, is still basically pulling away from the rest of the field.
All right, tell me about hanging RPMs.
Well, we're talking about a sustained RPM. What that means is they're pulling some tape off the front of Joe Nemechek's car. It must be running a little bit warm. But what it is you go around this racetrack, you get at a certain RPM with a 8,000 RPM, and it just stays there for a consistent period of time, and it's really hard on a valve train. You carry that sustained speed all the way around this racetrack, and that's what we're talking about.
All right, so we have 48 laps to go.
We have a blown engine right down the back straightaway. It's 45 car, and a caution flag is out, and that'll be good for some guys and bad for others.
Kyle Petty with the problem, and just was going to ask what kind of strategy at this point, because they won't have to stop again.
No, this will be their final stop, but this is what happens at the end of this race. A lot of times you'll start seeing engine problems because of that sustained RPM.
It's worth pointing out that the leader of the most laps in this race has failed to win the last 3 times. And Jimmy Johnson, as we said, Greg Biffle leading the way. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike as Kyle Petty continues to have problems.
And it's that time.
Yes, it is. In that last 100 miles.
The last 100 miles of this race always gets a few of them.
Joe Nemechek was running 7th at the time. He'd had to overcome a penalty and move back up through. Kyle Petty was running back at about 30th position when that happened to him.
Just remember, Joe Nemechek runs Hendrick engines. He lost an engine at Fontana a couple of weeks ago when he was up there leading the race then. Now, Kyle Petty, we have Casey Kane running in the top 5. Remember, the Petty organization, they're running Evernham engines. So, a lot of organizations a little nervous right now.
There's Joe Nemechek going up in smoke, and here's Kyle Petty.
It's too bad because Kyle was only like 5 points out of 15th place in the points, and that's the highest a Petty car had been in the point standing since 1999 here with John Andretti at the wheel of the 43 car.
Sterling Marlin will receive the free pass. First car 1 lap down, so that will give us 16 cars on the lead lap.
Quite a bit of fluid. Quite a bit of fluid, I think, from the Petty car coming on the pit road. Looks like a big streak of oil coming down.
And that's a blow, Darrell, because Kyle came in here 16th in the points. He'd led laps in 3 races, and they were pretty solidly positioned in the standings.
Yeah, that's the oil we're talking about right there, and that's what NASCAR's taking a look at right now.
And that's the reason they've left pit road closed.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. back in the race after spending some time in the garage after slapping the wall in turn 2, but he's 78 laps down. There's the flag signaling that will go one more time before pit road is open.
But this is when you walk around as that crew chief, you pat all these guys on the back and say, look, I know you've been solid all day long. Some of the crews, we've had some mistakes, but this pit stop right here with about 40 to 45 laps to go, this could be the make or break stop. And you know what, that driver, we do not need any speeding on pit road coming in or leaving.
But you know something, Larry, you say that and you're exactly right. But one of the things I found is the more emphasis I put on how important this pit stop would be, the more times I'd have a problem. You just got to let your team, if they've been solid all day, you just got to let them go do their thing. Because if you call attention to the fact, hey, boys, this is the one that counts.
Maybe just to do your deal, you know what we need here.
Yeah, just do your job. Don't make any mistakes, but be careful.
Greg Biffle and Jimmy Johnson have led all but 12 laps today thus far. Next week, FX and Speed Channel coverage from Nashville Superspeedway. Busch Series qualifying, 11:30 a.m. Saturday, the ARCA Remax Series, and the Busch Series race presented by Wind Fuel. One big day of racing on Easter Saturday weekend on Speed FX.
And you may think, well, it's an off weekend for Nextel Cup, so the Busch guys will kind of be on their own over there. Not true. Rumor has it a lot of Nextel Cup drivers will be there racing next Saturday.
Pit stops, Dick Berggren.
Well, Doug Richard, crew chief for Greg Biffle, had a pit board passed around so everybody could read what they wanted to do to this race car. Answer, nothing. They are going to go back out again with the same setup, same tires, same everything that has run so well for them all day long. Jeannie.
Well, it's been a pattern on the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson, just getting looser and looser throughout the day as they try to adjust. So the car is, yes, loose into turns, around a wedge in the left rear and a track bar adjustment. Steve.
Jeannie, Carl Edwards said we really needed that caution. We've gotten really loose. They made a track bar adjustment, wedge, and air pressure. Matt?
Left side of your screen is a 6 is down and away. He's not going to beat the 48 off. No changes for Mark Martin. His car was 0.2 a second a lap faster than the leader. Meanwhile, Casey Kane, his car was tight on entry, loose on exit. Tommy Baldwin tried to make some changes, chassis and also air pressure, to get this car the setup it needs to go to victory lane. They entered pit road in the 3rd and 5th position.
Look at there. We've been talking about lead changes all day long. Look at there. They swapped it right there. You heard Matt Yoakum just talking about Casey Kane. Lost 3 positions possibly on his final pit stop. Now let's look at the pit road times, which includes a pit stop. Jimmy Johnson, you see why they went to the top. Carl Edwards, his crew comes to life. But there you see it. Casey Kane and Michael Walter with the slowest times.
But Larry, do you mind losing those 3 positions if you can come out with a better car?
If you can make it better, you know what? Maybe we'll make it better. We'll have a shot at beating these guys right here who have been leading this race all day long.
These fellas did good. Jimmy Johnson out first.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You telling me the things you're gonna do for me. I ain't blind and I don't like what I think I see. Taking it to the street.
From taking it to the streets to taking it to the pits, Jimmy Johnson, an excellent pit stop moments ago.
Yeah, great job by these guys on the 48 crew. A 13.5, best all day. You see, they're really pumped up. Matt Clark, the pit crew coach, I mean, he was really pumping everybody up right there. Carl Edwards right there, they come in, all our guys, they were pumped up also. They had a good pit stop, got him back out. He's fourth quick. But here's the guys that we thought, as they came in as leaders, Greg Biffle's crew went to work. Everything was good on the right side. It looked like they were going to have another really super fantastic stop. This is what he needed to retain the lead. If you look on the left front, they get the car up. He didn't have all the nuts off, had to reach back down, grab his air wrench, and you'll notice he's the last one to get done. That was the difference. That was a 15.7 stop, and that was the difference between being first or second.
And we're taking it back to the streets, Mike. They're going green.
285 laps in the book, 40 to go as Jimmy Johnson leads Greg Biffle off into one.
Got to be able to close the deal, and that's everybody, driver and crew.
Mark Martin up for third. Carl Edwards, Dave Blaney. An impressive fifth. Scott Riggs, Brian Vickers, Jeff Burton, Casey Kane, Elliott Sadler. That's your top 10.
Boys, with 40 laps to go, as we say, business fixing to pick up here.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if you can feel it at home or not, but the intensity just, I mean, the electricity just starts running through the air these last few laps of a race.
During that caution, Joe Nemechek's car was pushed to the garage, and Ricky Rudd returned to the racetrack 25 laps down.
Biffle in the 16 got a real good run on the high side off turn 2 that time down the backstretch. Let's see if he can close the deal going through 3 and 4. But Johnson's so strong through the middle of the corner.
I just don't know. I think if whatever Jimmy Johnson's got, Greg Biffle's going to find out right now. And just remember, before this caution, Biffle had about a 2-second lead.
Now Biffle takes it to the low side, but look at this mess right here. This is Jeff Burton in the 31 all the way back through Tony Stewart. So that's basically about 9th through 15th with a bunch of cars. It's a lap down.
Dave Blaney 07. Last top 10 finish, Pocono, July 2003. So he's on the mark today.
And he can smell it. He can smell a good finish. You can just see it. You know, it's like he can reach out there and touch it now as he pulls right up to the back of Mark Martin, the 6 car for 4th.
Car's working really well. He can run it in hard. If it goes up the hill, it's okay. He's back to the throttle fast.
Atlanta seems to produce these rubber band races. Somebody will check out, the field will string out, but isn't it funny how by the end it all jumbles back together again? When Kevin Harvick won here in 01, there were 5 cars fighting for the win.
Well, these two guys in front, the 48 and the 16 now, Mike, they have been kind of in a league of their own today. Everybody's gotten to them, but nobody can do anything with them.
We've seen a lot of impressive comebacks today, including that of Brian Vickers. Knocked out of the race early last week in Vegas in a lap 12 crash with Dale Jr. He came in here and got tapped on the very first lap in the backstretch. He and Bobby Hamilton Jr. got together, and he is now back up for 7th place. Jeannie?
Yeah, Mike, he has to be in the running for maybe most cars passed today. Back to the front, back to the front, as you said, as Dave started making contact with a 32. He had to come in for minor repairs. Claude is way back up, had a bit of a penalty. Claude is way back up. At his worst, he was down to 28th and, of course, off that lead lap. But it's really just been like clockwork. Steady as she goes. Great pit stops, very efficient, and just minor adjustments as the car's been loose throughout the day. But as we stand right now, he's very happy with the car and obviously very happy sitting 7th.
I don't know what it is about that 25 car. I've noticed this before, but whoever drives it, whoever's working on it, that car always performs at Atlanta, whether it was Jerry Nadeau, Joe Nemechek, Kenny Schrader, whomever's driving that car always seems to run good at Atlanta.
What really got this car behind is we see a big old race with Elliott Sadler in the 38 back to about Jamie McMurray in the 42. This is a battle from 9th to 12th. But back to Brian Vickers. He had that vibration, had to make that unscheduled pit stop. Got a lap down when Bobby Hamilton Jr. had his problem. He got the free pass back on the lead lap.
Cool weather, fresh tires. Over the last 3 laps, the first 7 drivers in this race have just run their personal best lap of the race.
As we said, business picking up.
That's what you want. It's kind of like running a marathon. Got any kick? Better use it.
Now's the time. 33 to go.
See Jamie McMurray in the 42 car,
yeah.
another car that was a lap down, got back on the lead lap with a free pass, and now he's up there battling Jeff Burton in the 31 for 11th spot, trying to get to the top 10.
Burton's been going backwards, Larry, ever since the restart. His car, I don't know what they did to it, but they definitely went the wrong way.
It's almost like they didn't keep up with the racetrack in the right way with the changes it was going through.
One fellow who did, Scott Riggs, as he puts his Valvoline Chevy past Mark Martin, and that will move Riggs up to 4th.
And he looks really good. He's got a good little run going here.
And as Larry said earlier, nice redemption for a fellow who missed the show here last fall. Right behind him, Mark Martin. Matt?
No changes the last 2 stops for Mark Martin. Pat Tryson said it on Saturday, or actually Friday. He said, you know, we need to have long runs. That's exactly what Mark Martin needs on this final run. A long
trouble. Turn 1, guys. Somebody blowing up.
He's not going to get it, Matt. It's Robbie Gordon.
I think it's a 7 car.
Robbie Gordon, that would be the 3rd race in a row that he has had engine troubles.
Snake eyes. Snake bit.
But I would be willing to bet, Darrell, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, these guys, they only have about 10 or 12 laps on those tires. What do you think we're going to do? 4 tires.
I better be coming to pit road.
You better believe
We've seen what happened time and time again. If you don't, woe be unto you. Now, with that said, if everybody would stay out, I might be all right with that, but they're not. Everybody's going to stay out.
And guess who's moving right up to his grade point average for Atlanta? Ryan Newman. He's going to get a free pass, get back on the lead lap and into the top 17. His average finish here is 14th. Robbie Gordon is still trying to finish his first race of the year.
And that's all he was trying to do here. This was going to be a science project to see if we can make 500 miles with an engine. But obviously he came up short again. And there you see Chad Knaus making the decision. Okay, what are we going to do here, boys? We're going to have about 25 laps to go. We've seen all weekend long in the truck race and the bush race.
Yeah, keep the wheel straight. He's coming to pit road.
On that pit stop.
Exactly.
Help those tire changers all you can.
His teammate Jeff Gordon has gone to the garage. Out of the race. Only one more position he could possibly pick up, but they've retired the 24. Dick, everybody's in.
Now, crew chief Doug Richard told his driver Greg Biffle to come if the 48 came. Biffle decided 4 tires. They had discussed 2, but it was Biffle's decision to take 4. To Jeannie.
Well, you better believe the 48 was coming in. I mentioned it earlier that Jimmy Johnson ran the Busch race, and he learned tires are so important here. Coming in for 4 new ones, just a tick tight off. Steve?
Carl Edwards just a little free in the center. They added some bite into the right rear. 4 tires for Carl Edwards. Matt.
Scott Riggs, career best finish, 4th at Daytona, running in the top 5. No changes for the 10 car. No changes for the 6 of Mark Martin. It's a big race off. It's not going to be won by Jimmy Johnson this time.
I'll say it's a race, but how about Carl Edwards in that 99 car? It looks like that group is the one that's going to really prevail. Going all the way to leading the group off pit road. As you notice right there, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 lost a position, but the real winner on pit road, Brian Vickers' crew in that 25. 3 positions gained when it really counts.
I watched the 48 car, Larry, and he rolled into his pit box way too slow.
I mean, look at these speeds right here by Brian Vickers. I don't think we've hardly seen anyone as well as Michael Waltrip in the 39-second bracket for 4 tires time spent on pit road.
Look at the 48 though, Larry. I was watching him and he just creeped into his pit box. Didn't get that surge like they normally do.
Here's the race off pit road.
And it was a race.
Johnson got out of his pit and in front of Greg Biffle, who yielded position, and then the scramble right there. But Carl Edwards, yesterday's winner and NASCAR's, I think, newest big star, finds himself in front.
I'm going to get me one of those business cards. I know that.
You're not kidding. I'm going to go print up a bunch.
You mean the one you threw away a couple years ago?
No, don't say that. Schrader told me to.
28 laps to go at Atlanta Motor Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Restart. Carl Edwards a little slow on the gas. The field stacked up a little bit, but stayed in line.
Yeah, it's really easy here late in the race. You're excited. You want to get going. Easy to spin the tires, and when you do, closes everybody right up on your back bumper.
Look at the run. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car got off turn 2. He knows he better reel in Carl Edwards in a hurry, try to get this lead back.
It's go time for Johnson, and he completes the pass for the 26th lead change of the day.
I think Jimmy Johnson is one of those kind of drivers, you just don't know how good he is until he counts.
See Greg Biffle, though, Carl Edwards' teammate in the 16 car, pulling up in there, as well as Brian Vickers in that 25 car. Most of his positions gained has been on pit road. We've been talking about it all year long. Roush versus Hendrick right there in the top 5.
2 Hendrick Chevrolets, 3 Roush Fords. Then it's the Childress Chevy of Dave Blaney and the Evernham Dodge of Casey Kane. Michael Waltrip up into the top 10 along with Riggs and McMurray.
Michael's had a really good day. Been up in top 10 just about all day long. That's good. Good turnaround for that bunch.
Let's hear what Carl Edwards and crew had to say about this, what could be final run.
Don't spin your tires on the restart, man. If you do, don't worry about it. Coming inside, big picture still. Just don't worry about it.
It's his spotter, Bobby Hudson, up there being that cheerleader that he needs to be for that young man.
See, they've got the driver. They know that. They just got to keep him tempered back a little bit because it's big picture. Championship. He's in the championship hunt right now, and they want him to stay there.
Now, if that's the Bobby Hudson I remember, he's got 30 years in this sport as a mechanic and as a crew chief and up on the roof. So a lot of experience helping the rookie, Carl Edwards.
And Mike, you talked about it a while ago after the last restart. Right then, our top 4 just ran their fastest laps of this race, 29:50. That's down there where a lot of these guys qualified for the race on Friday.
Michael Waltrip battling with a couple of lap cars, including Mike Bliss, who right now is the first car 1 lap down and 18th in the 0.
And I know we have a lot of racing going all over the racetrack, but this team, they're very solid, but they're racing with heavy hearts because Dave Skog, one-time car chief for this team, he had moved to quality control manager. His wife, Angie, finally lost her battle with cancer yesterday. Angie, Ricky Rudd's personal assistant, as well as Richard Broom's daughter. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Skog and the Broom family.
Man, boy, Michael almost, he slid right up in front of the 42. That was close.
Elliott Sadler, though, in that 38 car, he's been lurking back there trying to get back to the top 10. The yellow car, he's back in 11th position, pulls right up on the back bumper of Jamie McMurray's 42 car.
That 38 car would be a car that would drive me crazy. Because 1 minute it's running up front and running great, and the next minute it's going back through the field like something's broken on it.
Right behind that 0 car is another car having a pretty decent run, moved into the top 20. Scott Wimmer in that Caterpillar 22 car. He's back running 19th, battling Mike Bliss in the 0.
"20 laps to go in Atlanta, and what had been a strung-out battle but for the front spot with Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle has now become a dogfight.
Oh, yeah, this is when the crew chief and the spotter saying, don't let them get away. You're racing this guy. You're racing that guy. No more give. All take.
We're into the countdown laps now. 19 to go. Jimmy Johnson holding Carl Edwards by 0.4 of a second.
The Golden Corral 500 on Fox is presented by new M3 Power Nitro from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. And brought to you by Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. By Sunoco, official fuel of NASCAR. Without Sunoco, there'd be no race day. And by Chevy, the defending manufacturer's champion. The revolution races on.
Jimmy Johnson trying to win back-to-back Atlanta races for the first time since Jeff Gordon did it in the late 90s. Held off Greg Biffle, now trying to hold off Carl Edwards. How about that Roush team versus the Hendrick team when they're bunched up near the top, Jeff Hammond?
Well, you think about teamwork, but I don't think you're going to have much help today because it's pretty much every man for himself. This racetrack, the way it is, has a lot to do with how your car works, whether working on the bottom or working on the top. And right now, Jimmy Johnson is just doing all he can to stay out in front of Carl Edwards. I mean, it's going to be one whale of a finish. And the other thing interesting is, can Chevrolet control this racetrack for one more race? I mean, there are 2 Fords behind him, and they're putting a lot of pressure on him right now.
Jimmy's staying with a good thing, the same chassis on this car that he won with at Atlanta last fall and that he won at Lowe's Motor Speedway with last year in both races. Mike?
16 laps to go, Chris, and these three are driving off into a different zip code. Brian Vickers is 3 seconds back. Mark Martin, 3.5. Dave Blaney has moved into 6th, 5.5 seconds off the lead, ahead of Casey Kane and Michael Waltrip and Scott Riggs and McMurray, who continue to battle.
Tell you what, we saw Carl Edwards yesterday in a very similar situation and got a late caution, and he made a huge move past 4 cars at once to end up winning that race. So I know he's hoping maybe he gets one more shot at him here on a reset.
No driver has ever won the Atlanta Busch Race and Cup Race in the same weekend. Yet.
In the irony, this was 2 of the best cars in the Busch race yesterday, and here's Elliott Sadler finally making a move in the 38 car on Jamie McMurray in the 42 car. This is that battle for 10th position.
Well, you have to give it to Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. Week in and week out, they're not just finishing races, they are winning every week.
And just remember, on Tuesday, we will get the verdict whether Chad Knaus will be able to be with this race team for the next 2 races, which is 2 short tracks, Bristol and Martinsville.
Right, their car winning last week, but the height found to be out of adjustment by about 1/8 of an inch beyond tolerance, out of spec. And that appeal will be heard Tuesday, and of course, we'll fill you in next weekend.
Well, you know what I do? I take every car after a race and run it through there and get a measurement on every one of them. I take an average, and if you were within the average, you're okay.
Tell you what, Carl,
every car, not just 5.
In the 99, he keeps looking to the low side, but the Johnson in the 48, he just gets that good run, keeps that momentum up off the corner.
And they have left Greg Biffle. Biffle is now 1.4 seconds back as Mark Martin takes 4th place from the past Busch champion, Brian Vickers.
You know, I worried about Biffle. They just didn't seem to be making enough changes on his car to really keep up with the changing track conditions. They were very content to leave the car alone. I know that's not a bad thing, but I think that gets you behind maybe at the end of the day.
Now this is a battle right here for the 16th position. Tony Stewart in the 20 in the orange car, Sterling Marlin in the 40. Remember, Sterling got the free pass not that many laps ago. Everybody's racing side by side because they know there's only 12 laps to go.
I'll tell you the guy that's really just hanging tough, Carl Edwards in that 99 car, boys. He is just right there.
And he's closing, Darrell.
And it's just like yesterday when Jimmy Johnson sat there and watched him, hoping he'd make a mistake. The roles are reversed today.
Carl's mom looking on, Nancy. She has been his biggest fan through his young racing career.
Like all moms and dads, made huge sacrifices to get that kid here financially. Did everything they hawked the farm to get him here.
But you know what, guys? I think about this 99 team. Go back a year ago. They didn't know how long they were going to be racing. Without a sponsor, there was dissension between the race team. They didn't know what was going to happen. And here they are, boy. He got loose off turn 2. He's digging in the barrel all he can dig right now.
The reason he got loose off of turn 2 is because he came off of there. I mean, he closed the gap on Jimmy Johnson a lot off of just turn 2 that time.
Gathered it back up, Darrell, and he did not lose a lot of ground.
Right now, buddy. But you're the best in shape driver out there. Go get it, man. I know you can do it.
Let's see that again.
He's up high here, and there's that black streak over there that you hit occasionally, and it'll step that back in out. And buddy, at 185 miles an hour, that'll get your attention.
But you're right, Mike. He did not lose that many positions, but you see it right here up on the high side in the throttle. Knows if he backs out, he's going to lose a lot of position.
But what happens on these tires this year, a slide job like that could take you right out of the hunt.
So he's going to have to sit and cool his tires, Darrell, but will it give him another shot?
And now you see Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy's looking around trying to find a little bit different place to run. And yeah, he'll have to cool his jets for a lap or 2.
Here's Steve.
Mike, Darrell, that's exactly what Carl Edwards just said. He said, I'm going to build up a little momentum, make another run, and give it everything I've got.
Steve, meanwhile, his teammate Greg Biffle in the 16 car, he's drawing him back in up there in the 3rd position.
I think Carl is overdriving his car a little bit right at this point. Just looking at him coming off of turn 2. I know that doesn't seem possible, but I think that's what's happening.
Smoke and trouble for Bobby Labonte. He slows on the back straightaway. He was involved in that lap 1 crash, has soldiered around and made laps. He's 52 off the pace, and now drops down to the apron.
And
But
Jimmy
no
Johnson's
caution.
car is doing what there's Bobby right there headed to the pits. But Jimmy Johnson's car is doing what it does week in and week out. It gets better at the end of the runs.
See Jack Roush talking up there. That's Bob Osborne. He's putting his hand around saying, look, guys, no matter what the outcome, you guys are doing great. Carl Edwards is doing great. The pit crew's doing great. But meanwhile, we talked about it a second ago as they come back around for 5 to go. Greg Biffle, his teammate in the 16, reeling him in for second place.
Oh, Edwards, another slide there, and Biffle's going to be on him.
Yeah, I think Carl used his stuff up. That sliding around, these tires just will not take that.
Edwards' first Atlanta Cup race was here his first Atlanta race last October. He started 4th, finished 3rd, led 15 laps. Having a good or better day right now.
Now he's got his hands full with his teammate. The smart thing for Carl to do, don't wreck the car, let Biffle go.
But you know, it looks like the whole 99 team is supporting one another. You hear Bobby Hudson supporting Carl Edwards. You see Bob Osborne supporting Carl, and then you seen Jack Roush over there supporting Bob Osborne, telling him good job.
And you heard Doug tell Greg the 99 is asking for mercy. Leave me alone.
You can't do it. You still got the leader in sight. How can you let him go, Darrell?
Leave me alone. Well, depends on what you got left, I guess.
You got 3 laps left is what you got.
Carl is
come to the line.
Try to go high now, and I like that idea. If your tires are giving up, find you another place to run, and high would be good.
I think as loose as that car is, that's the only place he can probably run it right now.
And you can see they put a little distance. Man, and he scraped the wall going down into turn 1 that time. He just got the tail right against it going down into 1.
But he was the fastest of all drivers on that lap.
That's a battle for 5th right there. Casey Kane in the 9 on the high side. We've seen him there all day long, as well as Brian Vickers in the 25.
See, what I like about a guy like Carl Edwards, what you don't know, you don't know. And he don't know that he needs to be taking it easy right now. He just closed up a bunch off of turn 2 or 4. He moved up the racetrack, and it is really helping him. I mean, he is closing fast now. He's got that high line. He's cutting that gap down, boys.
And he's pulling away from Greg Biffle, but he better hurry, Darrell. Lap and a half to go, halfway down the backstretch.
He's coming.
4/10 of a second last lap, 3/10 of a second 2 laps ago, and
this is going to be another one of those Atlantas. I'm telling you, they're going to be side by side when they come to the line next time by.
Here they go, white flag, boys, last time.
He's there.
And he cut the margin in less than half.
Hey, boys, watch this. Jimmy goes up high to block him. That may or may not be good.
If he can get that run right here, if he can get it, keep that momentum.
He's going to get a run at him.
He'll get one shot at turn 3 and 4.
I'm telling you, they're going to be side by side when they come to the line. It's going to be another one of those fantastic Atlanta finishes.
Johnson tries to block him. It's who can stay in the throttle here off turn 4.
And here they come, and I think Carl's got the advantage. Got him. He does. He wins it. Already has done it. Woo! Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
2/100ths of a second after 500 miles.
There is the man right there. That is the man.
Oh, perfect setup.
Yesterday, we called him NASCAR's newest star. Today, he confirmed it.
Look at Mom. Look at the tire splitters all rubbed off of them. Bring her on in here. Hey, and we got a backflip. You're going to do a backflip. He probably do a double backflip today.
I guarantee you, Darrell, 5 laps to go. He was sideways wrecking off turn 2.
He was smart. He found him another line. He was all over the place. He moved high, and here he came, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Bring her on down here, Carl.
Talent, a great crew, a great car, and boundless enthusiasm by this 25-year-old from Missouri. That's the show me state. He's about to show all of us.
New record. One yesterday, one today.
Nobody ever done that. He's going to have a lot of help for this backflip, I think.
Come on, bud. Get up on the roof. And, well, that may not be a good idea, but...
And these fans love it.
Look at Carl. Watch this. Here he goes. Come on, come on. Yes! racing. Look at Jack. He's up in there. Jack's trying to get up in there and get him some of this. Watch this. All right.
Heck, Jack might do a backflip. You never know.
And you know what? Jack Roush, about a year ago, said, I'm telling you, Carl Edwards, he's the real deal.
Oh, man. What a thrill. What a thrill.
Now for the second day in a row, Carl Edwards gets to drive to victory lane.
And he knows where it is. Oh, look, all 4 tires have got the letters rubbed off of them.
Look at the tread. It's gone right down to the carcass.
He was hanging on to that bad boy. That Schrader gave him great advice, didn't he? Get you some dirt track experience, because it paid off today.
Just saw Bob Osborne there. That's his first win as a crew chief.
Go, baby, go. Yeah. Come on.
Yesterday, in the Busch Series race, he made this thread the needle move in the yellow and black number 60 to get out in front of Jimmy Johnson and then Casey Kane to score his first Busch Series win. 2 days, 2 wins, 2 biggest days of his life.
You know what, guys? I think that's what I do super strong.
Today, here's the run for the checkered flag. Final lap.
He's there, baby. Here he comes. He's got the momentum. Jimmy, I tell you, Jimmy moved up trying to block Carl. I actually think it hurt him. I think Jimmy had run the bottom like he had been all day. He may have been a lot better off, but he moved up trying to block Carl, and I think it really hurt him.
When they got together, Darrell, you see Jimmy's car slew a little bit and lose its momentum.
Yeah, Jimmy right there was trying to get up in front of Carl, but he couldn't quite make it, and I think it really took the momentum away from him. Gave Carl that good run off the high side. You got so much more speed when you're out there like that, and here you come, closing the gap and taking the lead.
How many finishes like this have we had at this place?
I mean, look at the truck race, and even yesterday's race was close. And Harvick and Dylan, Jeff Gordon, and it just goes on and on.
Track's a big rubber band. Things stretch out, things come right back together. And NASCAR's happiest young star gets to do his signature move.
Well, he said yesterday that was the biggest win of his career. I'd say it just stepped up a notch.
A big notch, Larry.
His career is moving fast.
Jeannie's in victory lane.
Oh, guys, Carl Edwards told me yesterday he had actually never done a backflip of a car twice in one weekend. Yesterday was the best day of your life. So what's today?
Man, I don't even know. All right, I have a couple people to thank. First of all, Scott's. Thank you. First day of spring.
We'll just pan the fire suit. But go ahead.
Oh, Office Depot, AAA World Financial Group, Charter. I got to thank Carl Jockey, Howard Hall. I'm sorry, I'm really, I had a lot of people who helped me. Thank you, all of you folks back home. Cedar Ridge RVs. I can't.
You're speechless. I completely understand that. You told me yesterday that you have been riding dirt bikes and it made you more brave. I don't think it gets more brave than this finish we just saw.
Let me tell you, Jimmy Johnson is an amazing competitor, and I'm telling you, I've never driven that hard in my life. Though I was following him, and I thought, man, we might finish second, but even if we do, that's the hardest I've ever driven in my life, and I was pretty proud of that. So, congratulations.
No kidding. The car was sideways a couple of times, and you saved it and still won.
I was just Bobby Hudson. We're just on a mission. We're here to win races. I can't believe we won 2 this weekend. Thank you, everybody, for giving me opportunities. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I am.
I don't think you need the business card anymore. Go celebrate. By the way, guys, Jack Roush not here yesterday. He had a prior commitment, had to leave with 5 laps to go. He is here today.
Steve Burns, you better hold on to that old business card. It's going to be worth something. Look at this in the run to the flag. Carl Edwards, the rookie, gets his first ever win in dramatic fashion. And now, as fans of all 3 of NASCAR Premier Divisions know, nobody celebrates a win like this young man.
Oh, wish I could do that.
Two 100s. Welcome to the Nextel post-race show. Brought to you by Nextel, helping NASCAR groups get things done. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. 2 100ths of a second and a crazy go nuts for Carl Edwards, Jack Roush, and Roush Racing in victory lane here in Atlanta. Frustration for Jimmy Johnson and his crew chief Chad Knaus as they try and iron out their suspension. Chad was here. Jimmy, they thought they had the race won, but when Carl pulled in for that dramatic finish, disappointment there, and Steve Burns with a disappointed Jimmy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. And Jimmy just watched that shot of Chad Knaus. And Jimmy, I got to ask you about the shootout. DW wondered out loud if the fact that you had moved up the racetrack, is that what allowed Carl to get past you?
Yeah, you know, the middle to top has been good for me at different times. In 3 and 4, I was pretty good on the bottom. And coming to the white flag, I saw the ground the 99 was making on the top, and I tried to move up some to see what grip was up there. And I didn't think that it would be as slick as it was in the center. I guess I just needed to go up a little bit further. And through the center, I lost the nose, started to push a little bit, and was late to the gas. And I knew I was in trouble when I came off of 4 coming to the white. I saw Carl coming. Got through 1 and 2 fine. And then down the backstretch, I knew where his line was, and I tried to get up there to to use it and make him, force him to the inside so the momentum off the corner and being on the top lane would carry me by him for the win. And he found a way around me on the top. I don't know if there couldn't have been much room up there, but he got around me on the top and then, beat me to the start finish.
4th straight top 5 finish. Nice race, Jimmy Johnson. We go to Matt Yoakum.
Second last fall here at Atlanta for Mark Martin. 4th today. You were not only up on that wheel the final run, you were up on that wheel all day. And this is a big finish after last week.
Yeah, we had, just a little problem last week, but we've got great cars with our Viagra Taurus. And, I just want to thank everybody that works so hard to give me this opportunity. And we're going to fight this thing to the bitter end. I think that we can win races. We needed to be just a little bit closer than we were today to get it done, but we were right there. Car was awesome on long runs, and just want to thank everybody that supports us. Kraft and Gatorade and Pennzoil, all the folks that support us.
Next weekend off, where's he going to be? Batesville, Arkansas. His Salute to You Fans Day at Mark Martin Ford. Even Rusty Wallace and Kurt Busch are going to be there, Chris.
Well, this is Salute to Carl Edwards Day, Jeff Hammond. Pretty dramatic finish to get your first win of the year or of your career the way he did it.
Right, really, because the thing is right now, what really strikes me about Carl Edwards right now is his heart. I cannot get over the fact how much heart this young man's got. He's got a lot of talent. We've seen that today, but he drives a lot with his heart, and I think that's something that made a difference today. He wanted it.
Yep. And his mother, who he wanted to pay back for all that she sacrificed to give him racing parts when he needed it, he certainly has already. Roush drivers 3 of the top 4, including Greg Biffle, and he's with our Dick Berger. Dick?
Well, Greg Biffle, you had a great day today, led so many laps, but how disappointing is it to not win this thing?
It's pretty disappointing. We had great pit stops all day, and then that last pit stop, Carl beat everybody out. And, these cars are so hard to pass. They get so aero-tight behind other cars, and, Jimmy and I had a lot of fun out there playing cat and mouse, but when I had 2 cars in front of me, I just couldn't do anything back there, and, a little bit too tight. Do you free it up because you don't know if you're going to be 3rd when you're leaving pit road or not. But once you get out there on the track, then you end up 3rd, and then I couldn't pass anybody. So disappointing. We had a really good car. I could get closer to those guys, but I just burned the right front tire off it trying to do something with Carl there. And he fell back and then made another run at him. But it's just too bad. If I was a little freer, I think I could have beat them both, but never know.
A good day, but this guy is never satisfied unless he's in victory lane. Thanks, Greg.
All right, well, Biffle and Jimmy Johnson put on a show. These are the way the points look, and everybody's roof, we hope, has been checked. All right, just everybody check your distances. But look at Carl Edwards up to 3, and Kurt Busch came in as the points leader, the defending champ of the Nextel Cup points title, currently 4th, but Roush Racing dominating there as well. You see Jamie McMurray in at the 10 spot. Some guys in trouble in that 35-point range because one more race, right? There's no more provision.
One more race right now, and you take a look right there at the 31st position. Matt Kiss, a former champion right now, had a bad day today. All the way back in the back, guys like Jason Leffler, they're struggling. They've got to have a good run at Bristol. They're going to be in a big trouble. Bobby Labonte now back here in 37th, so Ricky Rudd, Robbie Gordon, these guys have got to turn it around at Bristol, and that's not a good place to have to go to turn something around.
Jack Roush told us at Daytona, greatest stable of drivers as Jimmy Johnson goes over to say, hey, good job, kid, way to go. And the Roush drivers, as Carl said, hey, I'll learn from the guys on this crew, and he has enough to land in victory lane. FX Speed's coverage of NASCAR continuing Saturday. Busch Series qualifying. ARCA Reback Series racing on Speed. Then it's Busch Series racing presented by WinFuel on FX. Our coverage NASCAR continuing all weekend long across the Fox networks. 2 weeks from today, we will be at Bristol Motor Speedway. Kurt Busch won there the last time around. 11th driver in history of NASCAR to win the Craftsman Truck Series, Busch Series, and the Nextel Cup. Congratulations again to Carl Edwards. If we don't see you, from all of us on Fox, have a happy Easter to you and your family. Nextel Cup racing on Fox returns in 2 weeks, as we said, from Bristol. Our thanks again to Chris Long, Muscle. Good luck at Speed. And congratulations again to Carl Edwards. And we thank you for being a part of NASCAR on Fox. Hey, it's time to get away.